Knicks family, what's popping? We dropped one that we could have had. But hey, what do you expect when they're young? Let's talk. What's popping, Knicks family? And yep, we dropped one that I thought we could have and probably should have had to the Wizards. Actually, I can't say should have had. I'm not sure if there's a game that we should have, right? Because of, just because of who we are, I can't say that there's a game that we should have, but we definitely could have won this game. Too much Wall, too much Beal. And something that we talked about in the beginning of the. Well, if you looked at the pregame that I put out, it's definitely something. I talked about Wall and I talked about Beal and how we'd have a tough time defending them, and our guards would have needed to come to play. You know what I mean? They needed to come to play. They played. They did all right, but we had what? I think our largest lead was an 11-point lead, and we let it get away from us. We had a 9-point lead at halftime, and then we had a horrendous third quarter. You know what I mean? And just like Fizz says, there's always one quarter that we just, one quarter. You know what I'm saying? One quarter that we just, it kills us every time. Kills us every time. We have, we got a video chat. We got Viv. We got Isaiah. So we're going to get to the video chat, see what guys think about this game that we just seen and the Knicks blowing the 11-point lead, 9-point halftime lead. Jerome, third quarter was a nightmare. Terrible third quarter. Terrible third quarter. So let's get to video chat. Let's talk to these guys a little bit. See what's going on before we go with the box scores and so on.
Cool.
Viv, what's popping? Isaiah, hold on, let me unmute you.
Had soft spoken, so like
you, man?
I can't hear a lot.
Yeah, I gotta tell him. I keep on forgetting to tell him because I do a podcast too. I do one for fantasy basketball, but not on that side.
What's up, fellas?
Viv, like the volume that Jonathan records on is a little bit low.
Hey,
so
Viv,
you gotta turn the volume up a little bit.
Because even today, like because I like to listen to podcasts while I'm in the shower.
I'm not sure if they can hear me.
I had to turn.
I'm not sure if they can hear me. I'm trying to introduce the guys and they're talking. There we go. Viv can hear me.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Sim, sorry, I was talking to Isaiah in the background.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. What's going on, man? I heard Isaiah talking about listening to podcasts in the shower. He always gets just a little bit too much information sometimes. You know what I mean? Nobody want to know what you do in the shower.
If it's not like that.
Nobody wants to know what you do in the shower, man. That's between you
and Jesus
and the water. You know what I mean?
Basically, we're talking about leveling the volume or whatever. Sometimes, when people record something, it's like it's not like that loud. This is
on it. Isaiah, I definitely hope you make it as a comedian, man.
Wait, man, come on, man. I ain't the only one that listens to podcasts in the shower. Now. I'm not gonna let you do that to me.
I was just saying, I hope you make it, man. Word up.
Hey, man, I hope I make it too, man. Cause listen. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get all my little black children and Vivek, and we're gonna have a studio. We're gonna have a whole sports studio. It's gonna be you, Chris, Vivek. All the guys. Who's Mark can't come? He can't. and Prince can't come. Prince is getting his ass kicked when I see him.
I did talk about Prince.
Man.
I'm playing with both my guys, man.
All
right, man. So what do you think about the game? There's only two of you guys in here, so I'm gonna keep you both unmuted.
So here's the thing, right? The first quarter was quite promising. We got off to like a really nice lead in the first quarter. The ball movement was nice and crisp. Everyone got high percentage shots. And I think the moment the second quarter started and we got that full second unit out there with Lee, Trier, Dotson, Mitch, and who was the other guy? I forget the other guy. regardless, it knocks, right? So once we had all 5 of them, like the ball movement just really stagnated. It wasn't crisp. There were a lot of low percentage shots, and I think the moment like that second quarter started, I feel like the game was never the same afterwards. Like we had the lead, you know, we had a decent lead at halftime, but then, you know, the ball movement never really recovered from the first quarter. And then by the time the second half hit and the Wiz made some adjustments, they just went full on pick and roll on us. And I think they pretty much torched Moutier and Tim and whoever else was there. So it just really got ugly.
Hey, Viv.
Yep.
Who was the best player guarding the pick and roll last year?
Frank.
Oh, okay.
But that's I'm gonna leave that separate conversation. So I don't want to go there too much. But look, like we just got torched on pick and roll, and it just was never the same afterwards. I know we made a nice little run at the end of the fourth, but I think like the moment Wall made that game a 15-point game, like with 4 minutes left, I think that really, you know, summed up the team's performance for the most part. Look, everyone's numbers pretty much, it just didn't look that good. And I know you're going to break it down, but I mean, in summation, I just think that, you know, all the percentages dipped down. And I know Trier had a rough go as the lead point guard. He couldn't get anyone going. He couldn't get himself going. And, you know, we just seemed to regress a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Trier's definitely, you know, Trier's playing a lot of minutes at that point guard spot in lieu of Frank Ntilikina, right? You know, we're going to see how that goes. I guess, you know, that's what, you know, maybe that's what Fizz wanted to see, you know, see whether
so he has to be a little bit faster in his decision making too. I think that he needs to, I don't know if he has a vision per se to get those passes off, but he has to be a little bit quicker when he makes decisions out there, because there were times way too often that the ball just stuck. And the moment the ball stuck, you could see like Knox, or you could see someone else just forcing up bad shots. So that's the one thing that he had to work on, and I think that really impacted his offensive game tonight, in my opinion.
Yeah. Isaiah, man, what do you think?
You should actually really listen to stuff in the podcast in the shower, man. It's actually very good and relaxing, by the way. So don't knock it till you try it, brother. Knock it till you try it.
Oh, boy.
But
I don't know. I don't want to know what you listen to in the shower, man. I don't. I really don't. I don't want to know.
I'm not gonna say it because it's a little embarrassing, by the way. But you know, tell me if this sounds familiar, Sim. You know, Zoe's he's a player. We should give him patience. If he's learning to pass, you know, we should give him patience, give him some time, you know, because, you know, he's learning, he's still growing. So, you know, he's not gonna make all the passes, he's not gonna do everything right. So we gotta learn. What does that sound like? I don't know.
I mean, look, we already know what you're getting. I mean,
yeah, you know, but look, I got a whole thing about that later that I'm gonna go on.
Okay.
I did my research.
Okay.
Viv was proud of me. He was talking. He was proud of me.
All right. I'm interested to hear it. I'm interested to hear it. Definitely interested to hear it. I mean, you know, my thing about it with Frank is let's just take a wait and see approach, right? Let's just see. Yeah. Let's just see what happens. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody who's been out of the lineup has made it back into the lineup. That's one thing that you know, Fizz said is definitely true. Everyone who's been out of it has made it back into the lineup. From Moutier, Moutier, when he first started, he wasn't really in the lineup when he first came back. Then he made it into the lineup. And then I think someone has the game plan in the back. Could you turn it down a little bit?
Who, Viv? Come on, stop that. That's not me.
And then, you know, Dotson made it back into the lineup. Burke made it back into the lineup.
I'm not going to lie, Sam. That one was confusing. I'm still confused about the whole Dot benching. That was kind of confusing, but...
Well, you know, I read that, you know, Fizz just told him he wanted to take a look at lineups. And, you know, Dot is just like, you know, the one thing that Fizz has been doing is communicating with him and letting him know. All right, you know what? I'm pulling you out the lineup tonight because I want to see this. Maybe you'll be out for a couple of games or whatever it is. So, I'm just taking a wait and see approach. Obviously, I do want Frank to be in the lineup, but I'm gonna take a wait and see approach. Well, let's talk about that a little bit when we talk about Courtney Lee. All right.
Courtney Lee.
Before you go on, right? I just mentioned there's one interesting thing that happened in the game, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I thought it seemed like Tim Hardaway Jr. got benched at 2 different times in the second half. It looked like he got he took one real bad shot, and then after that, he was taken out of the game. I don't know if it was because of rest or whatever, but he was taken out of the game. Second time was, I think, when they went up 15 or whatever. He was taken out of the game. He never returned back. So that was something interesting to watch going forward.
Yeah. Something interesting. And, maybe, just maybe, Fizz is getting tired of Hardaway tonight, I guess it was decent, right? What was he from the field? He was 7 for 15, 46.7%. But maybe he's getting tired of the bad shooting. And now that Lee is back, you got somebody that can actually step in and, be a shooting
shoot
guard.
efficiently. Lee shoots efficiently.
Damian Dotson can obviously be a shooting guard, and I think he gives us a few more things than Hardaway. Until he can consistently score the way he's scoring, we'll see this year. Damian Dotson has 17 points tonight. If he continues to do what he's doing, he really does make Hardaway. Right, he really does.
Hey, come on, sir. Now I need everybody to know my business. I got to work at 10:30. I'm a working man. We all can't be you getting paid millions of dollars on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, Siobhan, whoever be paying you $45 a thing, I'll be mad at them. I'll be wanting to start my own YouTube. He be giving you $45, $50. That's gas money every day. I'll be like, damn. And don't tell me you don't use it for gas money, so don't be lying to us.
No, man, I don't. Everything goes back in the building the channel. Trust me.
Everything goes back to Alonzo Trier mother. Okay, we know. Wait.
You made me forget what I was saying, man. Damian Dotson. If Damian Dotson continues to do what he's doing, he might make. Damian Dotson. If he continues to do, if Damian Dotson, he really might make Hardaway expendable if he continues to play the way he's playing, man. Damian Dotson is he's really playing ball.
Oh, he can play.
He's really playing ball, man. Isaiah, I can hear that in the background, Isaiah.
My bad. I was trying to bootleg it. My bad.
There we go. I know.
Hey, Guillermo, Fresh Montana.
So yeah, man.
My bad, Guillermo. My bad.
It could though, Viv, be that Fizz is beginning to just recognize some things about Tim Hardaway, and now that Courtney Lee is back, can say, you know what? If you're not shooting well, or you're not playing defense well, or you're shooting some crazy shots, we got some subs. We got some subs. So we'll see.
The second unit's kind of interesting in my opinion, because the second unit that played today is there's not really much of a defensive liability in that unit. Unlike the first unit, most of the players outside of maybe Hardaway are defensive liabilities. So they got some interesting pieces, and this is not even including Frank. So this is like that's a whole separate thing.
Right, it's not even. It's not right. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out, man. Because I love what Dotson is doing. Dotson is really balling right now. He's really getting it in right now. Let's take a look at the box scores. All right, then we can take a look at the box scores. Then we could talk about what everyone is doing and look at lineups and rotations, because that's the next thing that I want to look at. With Courtney Lee returning, there's definitely going to be some changes in the lineups and some maneuvering in the rotations at some point. And that's another interesting thing to watch as Courtney Lee, gets his feet wet. That's definitely, it's going to be an interesting situation. now. And I mean, we knew this coming into the year, right? We knew that there's already a logjam, at the guard positions. And I mean, even with Courtney Lee not in the lineup, with him being injured, there was a logjam in the guard positions. Now there's even more of a logjam, right? So that's definitely going to be something to watch for as we're moving forward with this season. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, they're going to be showcasing Courtney Lee and all those type of things. I'm not so sure. I don't know. It's hard to say if that's really going to be the case. What do you think, Viv? Do you think they're going to be showcasing Courtney Lee, or do you think they really want him to be a big part of the lineup?
Nah, they're showcasing him. It's just, I think that they're going to have to wait a little bit of time, because I don't think the market is in high demand for someone like him at the moment. So, not that Lee is going to be a high value anyways, but I'm saying, teams that would actually need someone that's in his caliber, there's not a high demand for them at the moment. So I think obviously they want to showcase him, and I think that, he may provide some sort of stability in the short term, whether we like it or not. It's just a question of, I guess, how long do you play him and who gets cut in expense of playing in minutes. And what it looks like, to be quite honest, is that, even if Trey Burke comes back, I think that Courtney Lee will still get minutes. And the way that the other guys are playing, I don't think anybody else is trying to get their minutes cut too. So, you could see some crazy situation where, Trier gets the only minutes at the one because of Courtney Lee and Dotson, and then they just, let Trier, do whatever he wants with a bunch of shooters around him. So right. That could mean that even though Trey Burke comes back, if he comes back, which I don't know when he's going to come back, he's going to be in the on the doghouse too. So it makes it a little bit interesting.
Yeah. And I guess Fizz would rather us not use the word doghouse, right? Like he said, no one's in the dungeon, no one's in the doghouse. But if they're not playing, I don't know what else you want to say. I guess they didn't do anything bad. It's just I mean, I don't know a
euphemism for doghouse. So unless
right.
you know a better word for doghouse.
Yeah. Tonight, looking at the box scores for the night. Well, let's look at the matchup first. We'll look at the matchup first. See what we did throughout the game. The Knicks were up 32-26 after the first quarter, and we looked good. Right? We looked good. Second quarter, we won the second quarter 29-26, going into the half with a 9-point lead. Third quarter killed us. It's always the one quarter. Third quarter, we lost it 34-19. Fourth quarter, we tried to make a push. Couldn't make the push. We won the fourth quarter 27-24. Good execution in the fourth quarter. It got a little wild there at the end. John Wall hit that big three, to kind of seal the game. And that was pretty much it. Courtney Lee, I think Courtney Lee, was it Courtney Lee? I think it was Courtney Lee who hit a three from the corner after shaking off his rust by missing a wide open layup. Shook off the rust there, and then he knocked down the three in the corner to bring the game a little bit closer, but it was just too late. Nothing we could do about it. The Knicks' biggest lead was 11. The Wizards' biggest lead was 16. We won the rebounding battle. That was one of our keys to the game. We won the battle 55-38. Right? That was something that I figured we were going to do and we needed to do. The Wizards are not a good rebounding team. They only average 41 rebounds a game. The Knicks average like 45. We got 55 tonight. But it wasn't enough. Only 20 assists tonight. The Wizards had 30. We had 16 turnovers tonight, 5 blocks, 4 steals. The Wizards with 7 steals, 8 blocks, and only 10 turnovers. The Knicks only shot 41.1% from the field, 35.3% from 3, 75% from the free throw line. And that free throw line kind of hurt us. If you started to hurt us a little bit in the fourth quarter. The Wizards also 75%, only went to the line 12 times. They shot 40% from three. Kelly Oubre was knocking them down. I think he missed just one three-pointer on the night. And the Wizards shot 47.8% from the field. Looking at the box scores, we'll look at the Knicks first. Looking at the box scores, Mario Hezonja had 9 points. He started off the first quarter pretty good. Was looking good in the first quarter. 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Only played 19 minutes. Noah Vonleh is becoming our utility guy, right? I mean, just does a lot of different things for us. From playing defense on some of those, like he played defense on Giannis. He can play defense from sometimes, he can play the 4, the 5, sometimes even a 3. He can knock it down from 3. He's 1 for 2 for tonight. He's shooting over 40% on the season, I believe. He had 11 points, 8 rebounds. He did have 4 turnovers, but Noah Vonleh is becoming one of the guys that you almost need on the floor. I'm loving the development of Noah Vonleh. And that's Cantor, 25 minutes, 13 points, 16 rebounds. Tim Hardaway Jr., he did something, I said in the pregame that Tim Hardaway needed to, he needed to make Bradley Beal work. We needed him to have a good night. The previous game, he only scored, I think, 7 points, and he shot 2 for 10 from the field. Tonight, Hardaway was 20 points, 7 for 15 from the field, no rebounds, 2 assists. As Viv mentioned, he did get pulled. Seemed like maybe he got pulled or was left on the bench a little bit longer at times tonight. And maybe that's just because he needed a rest. If you're guarding Bradley Beal, that's a tough task because Bradley Beal really does, almost like JJ Redick. Bradley Beal runs off of a lot of screens. He's moving all the time. You know what I mean? So you probably need to have some subs playing against Bradley Beal. Emmanuel Mudiay, 36 minutes, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Also had 4 turnovers. Didn't do a horrible job on John Wall. John Wall is a tough task, of course. Alonzo Trier only played 15 minutes tonight, 2 points, 1 assist. He's being used at that point guard spot a lot, which, let me tell you something. Everyone that's expecting Alonzo Trier to come in and score like he usually does and shoot like he usually does and do those type of things, well, guess what? It's going to be a little bit different. And this is a little bit funny, Viv. Some of the things that people complain about with Frank Ntilikina, they may look at Alonzo Trier and say, oh, maybe this is why. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think that with Trier, I don't think teams have fully adjusted to him just yet.
Right. But I just want to pay attention. I want people to pay attention. Alonzo Trier is playing. He's going to be playing a lot of point guard, I think, right now with Trey Burke being down, right? And we don't know how long that's going to be for. What a sprained knee. Alonzo Trier tonight took only 4 shots, had 1 assist. He's doing a lot more having to facilitate the offense. So guess what? You're going to see less shot taking. You're going to see less penetration probably from Alonzo Trier. Maybe, especially, at least, I don't know how long, this is going to last. But let's just say this lasts for 10, 15 games. Those first 5, 6, 7 games, you're going to see a different Trier, maybe, as he's trying to learn how to run that position. You know what I'm saying? You might see a different Trier. Now, when he gets a little bit more adept, then you might see, he'll learn how to integrate what he does with running that position. We'll see how that goes. That's interesting. Now, Trey Burke comes back and he starts to play, then, you may not have to worry about it. All right. Assuming that, Fizz doesn't decide to use Frank in that point guard spot if he needs it. We'll see. We'll see. That's going. That's something that's interesting to watch. Kevin Knox tonight, 8 points, played 27 minutes, 3 for 11 from the field, had 9 rebounds. I love to see that. We need more of that. We need him to continue to rebound that way. 9 rebounds tonight, 4 assists. There we go. Let me get this to where you guys can see it. There we go. All right, Kevin Knox, 9 rebounds. 9 rebounds and 4 assists, 8 points. Mitchell Robinson played 14 minutes, had 4 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Damian Dotson, like we mentioned earlier, 17 points. He got his 17 points on 12 shots. He made 6 of them, 50% from the field, 50% from 3. 9 rebounds for Damian Dotson. That's the one thing that I really love about Damian Dotson. He can play defense and he can rebound the ball. You know what I mean? As a full-time starter, can he do it? We don't know. Right? He was starting for a little while and he was playing well. Can he do it consistently that way? And we'd have to see. Courtney Lee tonight, he played 15 minutes at 7 points. Was 1 for 4 from the field. Had 5 rebounds, 2 assists. A decent stat line for a guy, getting his first taste of the season. That's the Knicks. The box score for the Knicks, and we'll take a look at the Washington Wizards. Otto Porter, 6 for 9, 3 for 4 from 3. He had 15 points tonight. Satoransky didn't really do much. Thomas Bryant, 8 points, 6 rebounds. Bradley Beal, that's the guy you got to worry about. 27 points, 48. He shot 48% from the field, going 12 for 25, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. And you know what? It really blew my mind when the Wizards, Viv, the Wizards were inbounding the ball, and Bradley Beal was wide open under the basket.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
That blew me. I was like, come on, man. We got to do better than that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the problem is that, not the problem, but the thing is we're playing with young guys. And when you play with young guys, that is going to happen. You're going to have mishaps like that when you got young players on the floor. You're always going to have those kind of mishaps, man. John Wall, 37 minutes, 18 points, 15 assists. Also had 5 turnovers, and he hit the dagger. He hit the dagger 3 to end it for the Knicks tonight. Markieff Morris, 18 points, 7 rebounds. Kelly Oubre, 21 points, 5 for 6 from 3, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Other than that, you had Jeff Green, Austin Rivers. Those guys didn't do too much tonight. That's the story of the game right there, fellas. That's the story of the game right there. I don't know, Viv. What do you got to say to that? Talk to me. What do you think about Dotson? Dotson and the whole Dotson Hardaway thing. What do you think, man?
I think Dotson brings a different style of energy than Hardaway does. He's a little bit ferocious. He can grab rebounds. He does a lot of the hustle plays, and he just comes into the game. Whenever he comes into the game, he just brings a little level of energy, and it's pretty impressive today because he kind of brought that energy, even though the ball movement wasn't as crisp as it was in the previous game. So, I feel like he's able to self-start himself at times, and I think that's how he's able to get a lot of good buckets and high percentage buckets. And he's not really forcing a lot of the shots either. He's getting them into rhythm. So he brings a level of energy that is needed in that second unit. And we'll see what happens now. But I just think going back to Wall, I think Wall's biggest damage, honestly, was he just torched us in the pick and roll. He just drove into the paint at will. Yeah. And especially in the second half, there was no resistance from anyone, whether it's Moutier, whether it was whoever it was. I mean, Wall, once he got into the paint, it was just damaged. And then the crazy part is he actually didn't even hit a lot of shots in the paint, but guys like Porter hit shots. Oubre cooked, and even Beal to an extent. Even Beal Beal also got into the painted will too, and that's really that was on Tim for the most part, I think, in my opinion. But
speaking of Tim,
that's their biggest damage. They didn't even hit it. They didn't even kill us from 3 that bad, but they killed us getting into the paint.
Yeah. And that was one of my keys to the game. We'll go over that. Was keeping these guys out the paint. You know what I'm saying? We're the Knicks. We are one of the worst teams in the league as far as opponents' points in the paint. You know, we're one of the worst teams in the league. Quiet Money asked a question. I want to see what you guys think about it. I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna ask you Viv real quick, and then I'm gonna come to Guillermo and Isaiah. He asked, when does Timmy get his time in the doghouse?
I mean, you saw the hints. I guess if we call that actually being benched, I guess maybe you start seeing inkling. But he's not gonna go. You're not gonna see him get full DNPs. I don't think that's gonna happen. It's just
No.
you might see stretches where his minutes, rather than playing 38 minutes, he might be playing 30 minutes. So, I mean, that's a start, I guess.
Okay, we'll see. Guillermo, what's popping, man?
It's good, brethren.
Do you think?
I actually think that they're
Timmy
showcasing Timmy. So I don't think you're ever going to see it.
Okay.
But it's just a weird message that you're sending to the other guys because, like,
exactly.
This guy gets to go out and just have full autonomy over his game, man. He doesn't get any pulls, but I think it's like they want to trade the guy. Now, the thing that sucks is like he doesn't get he never gets the cane pull or whatever. But Frank gets the pull, and Frank is not playing, and it seems like they want to trade Frank. Like I don't know what they're doing with Frank, so I don't know it's like a mixed message, right? It's like, is this a meritocracy or like what is going on here? So I don't know. This is just Tim Hardaway, man. I just don't think he's ever going to get it, or he's going to get it, but it'll be too late for us. Like it's going to be years down the line because you see flashes, right? You see times where he distributes, he actually drives to the basket, and you just see times where it's like he has no feel for his game, man. So
right.
I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to see him get yanked. But I will say this: if Dotson gets less minutes for more Timmy minutes or more Timmy shine, it could start resonating bad because look, we all want Frank to do well, but Frank has been up and down. But to me, Dotson's been the most steadiest on this team in terms of this guy could come in, give you instant buckets. This guy could start, give you buckets, and he defends, and then he doesn't get playing time. That could really send a bad message. I don't know.
Right, and I agree. We all want Frank to do well. Well, not everyone, but or not everyone, but Frank's right now is deserved. Right? I would say his benching is deserved. I mean, I don't know if 0 minutes is deserved, but it's deserved.
No, that's not fair, Sim. Look, I wouldn't say it's deserved. I would say with the way Moody is playing like a new man. This guy's playing like a new draft pick. But to say that Frank doesn't play, now look at tonight's game, Sim. We never do well against the Wizards. Any team that has athletic guards, we don't do well, Sim.
Right.
And that showed tonight.
Right.
And I'm not saying Frank would have won us a game, but letting Kelly Oubre shoot 5 for 6 from the 3, I think Frank would have been able to defend some of that.
Now, and when I say deserved, I don't mean that he does. I don't mean so maybe I should have used a different word. I don't think that he should be getting 0 minutes. I think that he should be playing. He should be on the floor some way, shape, or form. But I understand that coach is like, okay, we gotta let's hold him responsible for what he is or isn't doing. See if we can motivate him to do something else. So I did it to Dotson. I did it to Trey Burke. Whatever. I took Canner out the starting lineup. So I get it. I understand he wasn't playing well. I think he should be playing. He wasn't playing well. I get it.
I still to this day, Tim, I just feel like this is why I feel like Fizdale's an inadequate coach, right? Because like all of us are saying, and look, none of us we're not Phil Jackson, we're not Red Auerbachs, we're not, we're not, the top coaches of all time or anything, but each and every one of us individually throughout have all said Frank needs to play in the post. And Fizdale just doesn't do this. And Sim, I was at the gym, right? And they had the TV on, right? Or they have multiple TVs, but they had the game on. And as the dog was playing ball, I was like, yo, come over here and watch. Do you see them set any picks on the weak side? This is, I think, when we in the third or the second quarter. I can't remember. And there was nothing, Sim. Literally, the weak side was dead. It was nothing. And so that speaks to the fact that the way they're trying to develop Frank is the wrong way. It's this very unilateral. Hey, if you could just play like a shoot, like more of a shooter kind of combo guardish kind of player, you'll fit in the lineup. And that's not his game. He's not a guy who's going to shoot a bunch of shots, blah, blah, blah. But he's a guy who can facilitate. He's a guy who can bully smaller guards when he plays in the post. And they have yet to do that. And this team, I just look at Fizz and I don't feel the coaching is adequate. There's not enough ingenuity, there's not enough intelligence, there's not enough just change to the game to kind of fit other teams that we play. Like, if we don't have guards who get hot, Sim, we don't win. Like, it's just that. We don't have plays. I even watched the game on Saturday. All those guys, like this guy, what's this guy's name? The draft pick, I can't remember his name now. He had a hot night. He played out of his mind. But if we don't guys who get hot, we don't have set plays to get guys open or to get guys easy shots.
I agree.
Come on, Sim.
What's up, yeah?
I agree. But but like you're saying, Tim Hardaway should. Now, he played well tonight, right? He had decent numbers tonight. At least he shot efficiently tonight. Let's say that. Tim Hardaway shot efficient tonight.
20 points, 2 fouls, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 2 assists.
Right.
He was a minus 15.
He was a minus 15.
So that means his defense wasn't.
He got torched in the second half
from 3, which is good. 7 for 15 field goal, which is pretty good. So his defense was just terrible.
And you know what? He's always that way against Bradley Beal. He never plays well against Bradley Beal from the top. Bradley Beal gives him so much trouble because Bradley Beal, he just eats him up. He just eats him up, man.
Pretty much.
They run Bradley Beal off screens. Tim Hardaway can't keep up with him. I mean, Bradley just kills Tim Hardaway every time they touch the floor. But I do get it. And I agree with Quiet Money and you guys as well. You know what I mean? At some point, you gotta hold. If you holding everyone else accountable, everyone has moved in and out of that starting lineup, except for Tim Hardaway. Right? Except for Tim Hardaway. If you're gonna hold everyone else accountable and you're gonna test different lineups, then you gotta test a lineup that doesn't include Tim Hardaway as well. You know what I mean? Tim Hardaway for the season is shooting 39%. After tonight, he's probably shooting 40%. Right? He's probably shooting 40% after tonight. You gotta do it to Tim Hardaway as well. You got to 40%, 39%. He came into this game.
He came into the game tonight. Or like Tommy or something.
He can't. I'm gonna look at. He was obviously one of the key matchups tonight, right? And when we look at the key matchups, the biggest key matchup, Tim Hardaway versus Bradley Beal, right? Let's look at the numbers. Okay.
Yeah,
They both average the same points per game. All right, but I'm gonna bring this on over here. Just look at these numbers. All right, and this is why Tim Hardaway is not an efficient player. I mean, we know it. Tim Hardaway shoots 39.6% from the field. He averages 22 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists. Okay. Bradley Beal, 46.6% from the field. Some people look and say, "Oh, that's only a 7.7 percentage point difference." But that's a lot when you're talking about NBA basketball. 7 percentage points is a lot. That's the difference between 50% and 42%, right? Or 43%. That's a lot. And Bradley Beal is 22 points, 4.2 rebounds, 4 assists per game. He shoots a lower percentage from 3 at 32.9%, but it lets you know that he shoots better, that he goes to the basket a little bit more, and he shoots mid-range shots a little bit more. The fact that his field goal percentage is so much higher, than Tim Hardaway Jr. So when you look at that, I don't know, and when you look at the way Bradley Beal plays, Tim Hardaway has the same body structure, the same body size as Bradley Beal, right? They should. You would think, and Tim Hardaway has almost the same type of skill set as Bradley Beal, right? You would think that they would play a similar game, running off of screens, catching the ball, running off a screen, send Tim Hardaway off of screens, get Tim Hardaway the ball on the move and let him get to the basket. Tim Hardaway will do very well, I think, playing that type of game.
But Sim, Viv just made a good point. He said that Bradley Beal has a better brain than Tim Hardaway. It's all up here with Tim Hardaway, man. Tim Hardaway thinks he's the best one of the best shooting guards of the game. He's not at all. But he could be. He has all the talent in the world to easily be that. And I think one thing that you're leaving out that's even more of a net negative for Tim Hardaway, his defensive rating. I'm pretty sure it's poor. Like, there's one thing, Sim, like you can have a guy like James Harden on a court, but you look at his PR, you look at his stats and stuff, it's like, all right, I'll take the bad defense or not great defense because he's doing so much on offense. There's certain guys like that. You know, even if you want to argue LeBron James, who just doesn't play defense anymore, you know, when he instills a system, he's so much of the offense. Tim Hardaway on defense is such a net negative, and then he shoots inefficiently. So he's just a flawed player throughout. And you know, you can say one or two possessions here where you take Tim Hardaway out for Frank, just, you know, hey, we need to stabilize whatever. Look, it got so close in those final 2 minutes. And I'm not saying you put Frank in those final 2 minutes or whatever, but say you put him early in the game, a few stops on possessions, and that's a Knick win right there. Yeah. Or it's a close game right there. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like it has to be that we're showcasing Tim Hardaway for him to get traded, because there's no way in hell you have a guy who's so inept on defense. So inept, Sim. He does not know how to play the pick and roll. It's embarrassing. Yeah. He doesn't know how to play three. It's embarrassing. He doesn't know how to use his hips. His leverage is like he's almost hanging like he's drunk, hanging on a wall. It's embarrassing. They have to be showcasing for him to be traded, man. Well, okay. So you say Bradley Beal. Now, I will say one thing about Bradley Beal. He's not clutch, but I've seen Bradley. He has a better feel for his game. You see Bradley Beal go to the line. You see him drive on guys when they have foul trouble. He's a smarter player. He's not clutch, but he's a smarter player. Yeah, Tim Hardaway?
He is.
And it sucks because who's going to trade for Tim Hardaway, Sim? What contender can you think will trade for Tim Hardaway? So it might be just stuck with him.
Yeah, because listen, you know, I know a lot of people want to say that, you know, oh, Tim Hardaway, you know, he averages 22 and he's the only person right now putting up shots for us or whatever they say. I disagree there. I see Elton Wilson, I think that was his name, said I was stretching. I want to know what I'm stretching. I don't think I'm really stretching anything. If he was talking about the graphic that I put up, but you know, Tim, when you look at Tim Hardaway's numbers, teams aren't going to trade for Tim Hardaway. Nope. Right? He's playing on a bad team, at least right now. Right? He's playing on a bad team. And he's shooting a low percentage to get that 22 points per game. You know what I'm saying? He's shooting you know what? If he was shooting 50% from the field and he was getting that 22 points a game, teams might take a look and say, okay, you know what? He's shooting 50% from the field and he's getting that. He's playing on a bad team, but he still, you know, manages to shoot well, whatever the case. You know, maybe on a good team, he doesn't give us 22, he gives us 17 or 16, but shooting 50% from the field. Teams would love to have that. Looking at him now, I don't think they want to touch Tim Hardaway Jr. for his price.
Sim, this is what we were talking about with the system, though. Because remember when we were talking about the system? If you had a system, first of all, if Tim Hardaway said it's not efficient, we actually would win. We probably have a 500 record, because being that efficient and then someone else is getting touches as well, we'd be good. And that's why I said the system is so important, because when you have a system that showcases a guy with all their flaws, right? When you have a system that showcases a guy, it makes them look better than what they are or what they naturally are when you allow them to just play iso ball, whatever. So there's some guys who just play iso ball. They just play the hoop ball. They're nasty at that. Tim Hardaway is a guy, like I said, if you have him in a regimented system, right, where take shots when you open in this situation, do not overhandle the ball, pass, make moves, move around the cuts and stuff like that. They had that system for him. It'd make him actually look better, and we'd be better off be able to trade him off to some team that we could just pawn him off of. And that's why I think Fizz is inadequate. It's like showcasing a guy is not just allowing him to just do iso ball, unless it's like Harden, right? When Harden was with OKC that last year, he really couldn't showcase, right? They were switching between substitute and starter, right? Once he went over to Houston and he just handle the ball, he looks like one of the greatest players, you know, right now, offensively. Tim Hardaway needs a regimented system. The way they have a Dotson coming off screens, Tim Hardaway needs to be held to that. And then you take him out. if he's not going to that, and tell him, hey, look, this is for you. You might be here next year, you might not. But at the very least, let's try to improve your numbers and make you a better player. Yeah. And if he doesn't fall in line with that, then I don't care. Take him off the team, man. But you're the coach. Who cares who Tim Hardaway? There's not Jordan talking to you. Install a system and have a coach and make guys accountable. Because you're wasting this guy because no one's going to take him, like you said, Sim. I mean, you waste a guy like Frank, and he's rotting on the bench. It doesn't make any sense. This guy plays great defense, and he gets no respect for it, man. I feel
you. Let me give a couple of shout outs before I get to you guys up there. I see you raising your hand. Big shout out to Marty Knicks. He said a Knick thing to do is to beat the Bucks and lose to the Wizards. We might beat the Celtics and lose to the Nets. And Marty, we don't need to know that you listen. Don't follow Isaiah. Okay? Don't follow Isaiah. He says, I listen to NBK in the shower. I don't know if we need, that's too much information, man. It's too much information. City for real says, how you feeling about the DNP for Frank? Like I said earlier, I think Frank needs to, should be on the floor. Maybe, if you want to cut his minutes, I get it. You cut his minutes. But, looking at the way Frank was playing before he got the DNPs, it is what it is. I think Frank will work his, and then, of course, to answer your question, Robert Parrish, thank you for the super chat. He said, this year will be constant change. DNPs are temporary. Yeah, he'll be back. I think Frank will be back. He'll be back playing. He'll be back in that lineup soon enough, I believe. So let's get to Isaiah. You had your hand. You want to say something first? Let me see.
If I go in yet on my stats yet. I'm not gonna go in yet.
All right, don't go in yet. But go ahead, man. What's up?
Okay, so this is my thing with people with Tim Hardaway, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They're trying to push Tim as a superstar. We heard it before when Tim asked David Fizdale, how do I become a superstar? One right there, when you ask somebody to become a superstar, they don't really do that. Then second of all, people are gonna come with the defense, he's the only one that shoots. Okay, if we're paying a player $18 million, I'm sorry, 39%, that's unacceptable. 39%.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
That's just unacceptable. And if he's quote unquote trying to be a superstar, if you're a superstar, at least a superstar shoots. The only superstar that I know that shoots bad is gonna be probably Russell Westbrook. But Russell Westbrook gives you a whole lot more than Tim Hardaway.
He gives you a triple-double every night. So
yeah, so you can excuse his shooting perfect. And let me tell you something. When I was done with Tim Hardaway's defense, and this is as I quote, the game when Chris LeVert scored a game winner on us. You want to know the most embarrassing part about that? Was the fact that Tim Hardaway was teammates with Chris LeVert in college. He knows Chris LeVert. He played against Chris LeVert, lived with Christopher LeVert. He literally went to the same school as Chris, played on the same team. He knows he's going to go right. And what did Tim Hardaway do? Let him go right. With no effort, no defense, literally let him go right.
Yeah.
I was done with Tim when I seen that. And then then after the post game, I remember him saying, I know Chris. He was going to go right. Are you serious? Tim Hardaway doesn't play defense. If he doesn't score, I'll give Tim Hardaway this, which I haven't noticed a lot this year. When his shot's not falling, he doesn't put his head down no more. I will give him that. Last year, he literally, anytime he shot horrible, he just put his head down and was just like, you can literally see it in his face and his body language that he was like, all right, I'm checked out. He hasn't checked out this year. He's been chucking a lot. But, again, you know what you said, Sim. A good team's going to be like, wow, you're shooting 39% on the bad team. We're not going to look at you because you're going to shoot horrible with us. But if you were shooting 50% on a good team, people will be like, okay, you can give us 14, 15 points off the bench or maybe a starting or a small starting role.
The only thing some teams may look and say, if he's playing on a better team with better players, then maybe he's going to get less shots. And if he's playing with I don't want to say a better coach, a coach that has more tools at their disposal, they're going to demand more of Timmy as well. Let me see what Nate's got to say. Then we'll get off of Timmy and let's talk about Courtney Lee. All right, Nate, go ahead, man.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very frustrated. I watched that whole game.
Okay.
And as a defensive person, defensive mindset, I don't understand why Frank was not out there at all. I mean, the guards were getting torn up by Beal and Wall most of the game. And, in the third quarter where we lost the game completely, nobody was able to run the offense. It was all ISO ball. It was all me ball. There was no flow. There was no point guard to run the offense. It was chaos. And we took bad shots. We didn't get back on defense. It looked like a mess. And as a Knicks fan, I just can't wrap my head around why Frank's not in that game. Because even if he can't score points on offense, at least he can D up, and at least he could run the offense at a pace where at least we're trying to get shots to the right players instead of just looking like complete chaos.
Well, right now, I mean, with it, with the whole thing with Frank, I'm just trying to take a wait and see approach. Like I said, guys have been out the lineup and then put back in the lineup. Let's just see what happens. Courtney Lee returned tonight, right? 15 points. 15 minutes at 7 points tonight. Shaking the rust off. Courtney Lee shaking the rust off. I want to know. And so, how does Courtney Lee now? There's another player now that we've got to fit into the lineup. Right now, we got another player to fit into that lineup. Alonzo Trier was maybe unexpected, right? So now, I'm pretty sure they expected. Okay, we got Alonzo Trier. Alonzo Trier was going to play in the G League. Now we got to fit Alonzo Trier into the lineup. Now you got a bunch of guys at the guard spot that you got to worry about. You got Trey Burke, you got Frank Ntilikina, you got Courtney Lee, you got Alonzo Trier, you got Tim Hardaway Jr., you got Damian Dotson, right?
Somebody's got to go.
There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys in these, at these guard spots. How is it going to impact our rotations with Courtney Lee back? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Nate?
I mean, somebody's gonna have to go. I mean, we have way too many guards and only one ball to go around. And you've asked me, a lot of these guards are very similar in play. Courtney Lee, man, he looked a little step.
Nope, he's gone. But yeah, something's gonna happen, right? We already know that something is going to happen. Not even because we have a glut at not even because we have a glut at the point guard spot, right? Not the point guard spot, at the guard spots, but we do. But that's not the only reason that we're going to need to make a move. Alonzo Trier's 45 days are going to be up somewhere around December the 15th. Right? Somewhere around December the 15th, Alonzo Trier's 45 days is up. And the Knicks are going to have to make a decision and make a move about, to keep Alonzo Trier on the squad. So that's a decision that's coming up now. That could be waiving Luke Cornett. It could be as simple as that. Waiving Luke Cornett, re-signing Luke Cornett to the G League team. But I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, right? I don't know if you guys read the story, but I read the story about when the Knicks, during the draft, and if you guys didn't, read the story, just listen up to this. Alonzo Trier was apparently under the impression that he was going to get drafted where Mitchell Robinson was drafted, with the Knicks. Okay? In the draft, he got the call from the Knicks telling him that they decided to go big. They wanted to go big. They decided to go big. And that if he's still there after the draft, they'd sign him. Right? And I'm sure Alonzo Trier was shocked at this point, right? Because he thought that he was going to be, drafted, whatever number Mitchell Robinson was drafted. So the Knicks passed on Alonzo Trier and took Mitchell Robinson. Luckily, the Knicks were able to sign him to a two-way contract. So now the Knicks and Trier, they're currently in contract negotiations, from what I understand. Right? They're in contract negotiations, trying to figure out which pot of money they're going to use to sign them. There's a whole thing. So I don't know if it's as easy as it sounds to just, hey, let's just go ahead and sign them. Right? Because one, the Knicks got to give him, some money, a competitive offer. If he's not signed at the end of this year, I think if he's not signed and he stays on the G League, right? If he's not signed, he's got to go back and play in the G League. And then if he goes back and plays in the G League, that's going to be dangerous because now you upset him, right? And then now he's a restricted free agent. And because of the pot of money that the Knicks have, a team could try to outprice us. Now he's restricted, so we could match anything. But they could try to outprice us, give him a contract, and then we have to match it. So I'm sure the Knicks are diligently working towards trying to get this negotiation done with Alonzo Trier. All right. So it's not as easy as just, okay, let's sign him and then bam, that's it. There's some things that come into play, and you definitely want to make sure you're giving them the right offer, because you already kind of upset him a little bit, and he's made it clear that he hasn't forgotten it. So you already upset him just a little bit because you didn't take him in the second round, right? And you signed him, as an undrafted rookie. So we'll see how that goes, right? But the Knicks, if they're going to sign Alonzo Trier, which I'm pretty sure they want to, they need to, they should. That'd be the only diligent move with Trier. You're going to have to move something. So where does Courtney Lee come into all of this? And, where does Courtney Lee come in there? Justin Smith, thank you for the super chat. You say, with Frank in trade rumors, is his no playing time a way to hide his flaws for other trade interests from other teams? What is his trade value right now? Honestly, I don't know if I think other teams know, Justin. I think teams know what Frank is and what they'll be getting with Frank. I think, like a team like Phoenix, they want to put Frank next to Devin Booker because Frank is like, a pass first defensive guy. Now you can take Devin Booker off the ball, let him play off the ball a little bit, let him get the ball on the wing and create, because Frank's not going to demand the ball, and he's a defensive guy. Help take some of that pressure off of Devin Booker. I think teams look at him. I think teams see him for what they are, and see, the one thing about other teams, one of the reasons why they would really like Frank is because they don't have the pressure of him being the 8th draft pick, right? The Knicks have that pressure of him being the 8th pick. He can go to another team, and he don't have that pressure, and neither does that team. You know what I mean? They can use him how best they feel fit, and really put him in that kind of a position. And that's why you're going to see a lot of teams, and then still hope and say, he's young. This guy still might be able to develop to be whatever. And, so, I mean, right now, there's, the Brooklyn Nets, from Ian Begley, said that the Brooklyn Nets have shown interest, the Phoenix Suns, the Orlando Magic. There's somebody else out there. I don't remember who it is. We'll see. But, how does Courtney Lee, fit into all of this? Maybe it is maybe it is Frank that goes to open up room for Alonzo Trier. Maybe he's who knows, but something's got to happen. Something has got to happen, and it's got to happen within the next 2 weeks. Within the next 2 weeks, something's got to happen. So I just want to know where Courtney Lee fits into all of this. With our roster construction, our lineups. What do you guys think? Let me get to this phone call, then I'm gonna get back to the video chat. Caller, you on live with Nothing But Knicks. What's popping?
What's going on, Rob the Knicks?
What's up, Rob?
Ain't nothing much, boy. I can guarantee y'all every time the Knicks lose, it becomes a Hardaway bashing from the chat. That's you, Sim. You keep it 100 sometime with them.
Sometimes, you said sometimes. Sometimes I keep it 100.
It always comes down to like Frank versus Hardaway in the Knicks loss. And Hardaway can't tell, boy. I just in here, boy. I was in here crying. I was saying, boy, they give him the business, boy. When they win, you don't hear Hardaway's name if he does something good or not. But let him lose, boy. You gonna hear Hardaway versus Frank. And it's just crazy, especially just to be listening to it, and you just know that the whole chat is against all.
People in the video chat aren't against Hardaway. They just don't join the people in the YouTube chat aren't against Hardaway. They just don't join the video chat. I think the biggest issue with Hardaway, is his field goal percentage, man. And of course, you see
That's
him
cool,
take
but
some.
Why it only comes up when they lose?
I don't think it only comes up when they lose, man.
Not you, Sim. You look. You can exclude yourself from this one because you keep it 100 with it. But the video chat, hey, look. If you open up that window a little bit, they coming through there like roaches.
Yeah.
They ain't playing with Tim, especially in the loss. He's gonna be the scapegoat no matter what. And this is what's be killing me. Now, I don't know if everybody watched the game on the same thing. I watch it on MSG. I got it. So I hear the after. Like, a lot of people listen to it, watch the game on the NBA Pass, and they don't get to hear what the studio is saying. The studio for months, man, since the season started, man, they praising Tim. But the video chat is killing them.
But you know what?
Killing them all day long. They don't want him on the floor.
The one
they
thing,
want him why he don't go to the doghouse. Man, look,
the one thing I can
everybody
say,
ain't gonna
Rob,
go to the doghouse, man.
Hey, Rob, the one thing I could say, see, that's where I have a problem, though, Rob, because this is not a team where you have a true. If Kevin Durant was on the team, you don't put Kevin Durant in the doghouse ever, right? Tim Hardaway is not that type of a player, in my opinion. So I believe everybody. Not. I believe everybody on this team not deserves, but if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, can go into the doghouse. I don't think there's anyone on this team that's exempt from that. Now, when we're talking about MSG and all that stuff,
Wally and them,
I love those guys, right? I love listening and talking to them, but there is a point, and there is a point where the machine behind them is going to say, be careful what you say about this player or that player. Bottom line, it's going to happen. It happens. I'm telling you, the NBA does it, right? The NBA.
Yeah, I can understand that. Your man just had Bruce Bowen said something about
Kawhi,
and they say ESPN kicked them off the air for it. But I understand that.
And check this.
I'm just saying to a point network. Like this here.
Look, there's a network.
But he's doing other things now. He's trying to look. He's passing the ball a little bit.
Yeah,
he's trying to play a little bit. He's trying to rebound. But every good thing that he ever does, if Timmy hit the shot to put up off one and we win, you don't never hear that in the video chat. They just skirt right over that, like nothing never happened. And everybody knows Frank deserves to be benched for right now. If Dotson can sit, Frank can sit too. So just let Frank you don't got to bring his name up until you get back in the game.
I mean,
like they did Dotson. We didn't give all this talk about Dotson when he got benched.
Actually, there
we left it alone.
No,
Frank every day.
Actually,
every day, Frank. Frank play defense. That's all Frank do.
Hold up, Rob. Hold up, Rob.
Okay, Frank is a good defensive player. I give him that. But he ain't giving you nothing else.
Hey, hold up.
He ain't giving you a half a shot.
Hey, Rob, hold on for a minute.
Yeah.
I need you. You know, yeah, you might need to take a chill pill for a second. Getting excited. But
all right,
actually,
you,
when Dotson wasn't playing, I think there was like a 3-game stretch where Dotson wasn't playing, and everybody always asked the question, "Where's Dotson? No Dotson. Why is Dotson not playing? What did he do?" When Trey Burke wasn't playing, I was consistently saying, why is Trey Burke not playing? He can give us some points. He can come in and light it up. I mean, there were games when I showed and said, right here is where Trey Burke could have came in and just changed the game a little bit. I do understand, there's a little bit more questions about Frank, but you know why there's more questions about Frank? The reasons why there's more questions about Frank, the reasons is because this is supposed to be a developmental year. This is supposed to be a year where you're trying to win with your young guys. You're trying to help, you're trying to help these guys, or not win with your young guys. You're trying to play with your young guys, and whatever happens, right? And, maybe him being on the bench is part of his development as well, right?
Development, I agree.
But I've seen this brought up, not in here, well, maybe at times, but in other places around the internet, not just here. If you go to ultimateknicks.com, go look on Twitter, around the internet, it's not just here. Trust me. And the big question is,
yeah, I know. Listen. About it.
And one of the big questions is, why are we playing guys who are? There's two things, right? We're playing with guys who are on the last year of their contracts and probably aren't going to be here. Vets that probably aren't going to be here. Why are we playing with them instead of playing with guys that, you re-upped with Frank, not re-upped, but you took the team option on his contract for the next 2 years or whatever it is. So their question is why, right? He should be out, you should be working with him. Okay, you knock him down, he's not playing, you take him out, you knock his minutes down because he's not doing this, he's not doing that, right? But get him out on the floor because you need reps to get better. You need some reps, right, to get better. Sometimes you don't play, and it helps you see the game a little bit different sometimes too. That happens, but that's the question. And then, right? Not only people ready to give up on him. Okay, you got people who are ready to say that's it, he's done. But then they want to applaud people like Noah Vonleh, Moutier, guys who, when they were first drafted, first 2, 3, 4 years, 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whatever, weren't playing well. And then all of a sudden now they're with us and they're doing well. And you're like, wow, look. But they're neglecting the fact that it took them 3 years before Noah Vonleh is doing what he's doing. When Noah Vonleh was also a top 10 draft pick. It took him 3 years to do what he's doing this year. You know what I'm saying? So people are ready to give up.
But Noah Vonleh wasn't thrown into the fire. Okay, but if Frank, it's now that we have Frank. What's wrong with Frank just sitting sometimes? It's nothing because we have him. So sometimes his development can come, like you said, by watching. And I really feel as though he really needs to watch a little more.
It could. And that's all to it. You got time to play him.
You got these brothers under 1-year contracts. Okay, their time is limited. So therefore, you play them and you see which one of them that you want to keep. Frank is here. So then, because it looks like to me, if Moutier keep on playing what he doing, they gonna keep Moutier.
But you know what? Hold
You know,
on.
if
But
he keep on
hold up,
playing
though.
like
But
the way
hold up,
he's
though. But
playing,
see,
they gonna
but see,
keep
this
him.
is what you
And
have,
they gonna keep Von Lane.
this is what you
Everybody
gotta
else
get.
must got to go.
This is
And
what you
still
got.
keep Frank.
This is what you got. This is what you got to understand. It's not just that easy all the time, though. When you're talking about the NBA and these contracts, right? Moutier is making.
But the Knicks got a little bit of money. They got some money for
Right.
next year.
Yeah, but it all depends on what the Knicks are going to want to do in the summer. Moutier is making $4 million this year, right? At the end of this season, he gets a qualifying offer, right? He doesn't get it unless the Knicks make it. The Knicks have to make a qualifying offer. The Knicks are not going to make that qualifying offer. If they make that qualifying offer, right? If the Knicks make that qualifying offer, then that means that it cuts into their cap space for this summer. They're not doing anything to cut into their cap space until they know who they are going to sign, right? Because they're trying to make free agents. So you know what happens when they release his qualifying offer? Other teams are able to make offers to him.
Teams is going to come. Yeah, I understand. Look, I understand that totally. But sometimes you're going to have to commit to something. Now, Durant is out there. There's about three players out there that the Knicks, maybe 2 to 3 players out there that the Knicks. But you got to make sure that that's exactly the player that you want to get.
I know, but listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying, Rob. Listen what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you have to understand about Moutier, there is a possibility that Moutier is not here. Even if he plays, way above his expectations for this season, there's a chance that Moutier is not here next year. There's a very good chance that Trey Burke is not here next year. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to find a way to develop all of these guys and get these guys out there on the floor playing. Right? I mean, there's definitely a good chance that, possibly Moutier is here, but if he outplays his expectations, then the Knicks have to make a decision. And I don't think they're going to give him the qualifying offer until they know who they're going to sign over the summer. Right? They're not going to give him any kind of offer, so they're definitely not going to give him a qualifying offer, because if they give him a qualifying offer, right? If they give him a qualifying offer, then they eat up some cap space. And I don't think that they're going to eat up cap space for anybody, because they are trying to see what they can do in free agency, right? So for those who say to trade Frank, I don't think they're going to trade Frank, because they know there's a chance that you don't have Moutier and you don't have Trey Burke. There is a chance. All right. So, we have to see how that goes. But my thing here, I didn't want to get into talking about Frank. I wanted to talk about Courtney Lee. All right. And where, where Courtney Lee fits into all of this now. That's what I wanted to talk about. Right? Courtney Lee. Okay. So let's get back into this. Viv.
Yep.
What do you think, man? Where does Courtney Lee fit into this whole thing?
So, short-term picture, he's gonna get minutes. The reality is that he's just not tradable at this moment to a team that actually needs him right now. A lot of the teams that could use him don't really need him until February, so they're not going to waste their energy and effort trying to acquire a guy like him. So, unfortunately, it means from now until a couple months from now, February, he's gonna get minutes, but it's most likely gonna be bench minutes. I don't see him. Unless Mario falls off a cliff, which he hasn't done so yet. But I think Courtney's gonna play the second unit, and what that means in return is that you're gonna have a dual wing like a dynamic, not a dynamic duo, but you'll have like a defensive duo of Dotson and Lee. And they'll keep Knox and Mitchell as that's basically your 4 players there. And I think the job for the backup point guard at the moment is really Trier's to lose, unless, like I mentioned before, if Hazonia falls off a cliff, it kind of opens up things, because it could mean that Knox comes and takes over as the starting 3. And if Knox becomes a starting 3, then I guess things become interesting because then it opens up a position for someone like Frank to come in and take that backup point guard position again. But I think in the short term, what will happen is I believe Trier is going to get the shot to be the backup point guard. Now, like you had alluded to earlier, if Trier continues to struggle as a backup point guard, he could potentially face a similar fate that all the other guards faced. So, he could. You never know what might happen. Now, long term, right? So post February, then it's a different story because then I think it's just going to be he'll be out of the picture by then, and I think
who will be out of the picture by
Courtney Lee. Lee. Yeah.
You think Lee will be out of the picture by the trade deadline?
Yeah, probably he'll be out of the picture by then.
Now,
and even if he's not, honestly, Sam, even if he's not, he's probably going to be DNP'd for the rest of the season anyway. So he'll just be out of the rotation for sure by February.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that if after February he's still on the team and then he's DNP'd. If he's not going to be part of this team and part of the future, I'd like to find a place for him to be.
No, I mean ideally you do, but again, it's just more of the reality of the market.
Right. I got
because there's not a big market for Lee, right? So it's really the only people that really want Courtney Lee are going to be playoff teams.
Right.
And playoff teams don't have a lot to give us. They don't have assets. They don't have any expiring contracts. So you're almost stuck with him. So it'll end up being a redux of last year where, after the All-Star break, they pretty much benched Jared Jack and Courtney Lee. They pretty much racked up DNPs. Yeah. The entire and even if they didn't, they played maybe a quarter and a half and they got benched. So I think unfortunately, if he remains on the team, that'll probably happen.
Yeah, and look, Courtney Lee has already said, whatever the coach asks him to do, that's what he's going to do. With no issues. So I wouldn't, there would be no worries about him complaining or doing whatever. So, yeah.
I mean, he has a better chance of being traded, honestly, in the summer because by the time the summertime hits, he'll have, I guess, just only one more year left. So he'll be an expiring then.
Right. All right, Guillermo, what do you think, man? Where does Courtney Lee fit into this whole mess of guards that we have?
I don't know, Sim. It's tough because, like Viv said, there's not much trade value from him, right? But Courtney Lee and Dotson, they're both system guys. They thrive under systems, or they do better under systems. So, if you're trying to make Frank, I guess, understand how to play the offense, and maybe he could be the mentoring type because everyone seems to like him, all that stuff, which is fine and dandy. But I don't know. I just think you have an margin. I don't know. You can't take away minutes from Dotson and some of these other guys, but
right.
I just don't know, Sim. It's confusing.
Yeah. It is a crazy situation with Courtney Lee. Courtney Lee right now is the oldest guy on the team, right? Is it Courtney Lee or is it's Courtney Lee, right? It's the oldest guy on the team?
Yes, I think 34.
I think he's like 32. I think he's 32.
32?
Yeah, I think he's 32. Then the next is Lance, I believe.
Lance is, I think, like 31.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. And then, Alonzo Trier, right now he's playing a lot of backup point guard. I guess there's no problem with playing him there. Is it taking him away from his strengths though? Clearly it's going to be taking him away. How much is it really going to help him or hurt him? His long-term game in his long-term in his career, he's going to be he's going to be a shooting guard. I guess it doesn't hurt anyone to learn how to distribute and facilitate because you never know when you're going to be needed in that situation, right? I don't know. It's going to take away from what he does best, right? And that's been something that's helped us in games. His ability to score the ball, his ability to get it going, down the stretch. da-da-da. And I know people can say, well, you can just plug him in down the stretch, or you can just plug him in when you need scoring, but it's not that easy. Because if you've been playing that point guard, you're playing this backup point guard, right, and you're trying to learn to facilitate, and now all of a sudden now you put in, you say, now go score, it might take a little bit for you to get warmed up and change your whole mindset. To go out there and score. Now you can go out there and try to do it and get it, but you may be fumbling and bumbling and missing shots because it takes a little while to get warm. I don't know. You think it's going to take away from his game for the time being?
Courtney Lee?
No, not Courtney Lee. Alonzo Trier.
Oh, Alonzo Trier? But we need to. Like, Alonzo Trier has to realize he has to become more of a multifaceted player if he wants to thrive. So I don't mind us doing that. I think the problem, Sims, that we depended on Alonzo Trier to win his games, playing to his natural ability, which, I mean, look, he's an ISO guy. He can sell that. But if you want to be a complete guard, he has to add some wrinkles to his game, Sim. So I don't mind. I don't mind a deconstruction of Alonzo Trier. That means we're going to make him a better player, because we went about the wrong way. He won us some games, so his ego's bigger now. He's talking about contract this and all that stuff, and it's like, bro, you are a good player, but you're not a complete player. So I don't mind a deconstruction of Alonzo Trier at all. Yeah. You better facilitate, because he has it, Sim. The wraparound pick and roll that he does with these big men, I've seen it.
Yeah, I think he has it.
That. I'm sorry, Mom.
No, I was saying I think he has it. It just needs to be, he just needs to work on it. I think he has it. He's played. As a matter of fact, I think he said his senior year, or his last year at Arizona, he had to play a lot of point guard. Mm-hmm. He had to play a lot of guard. Yeah, we'll see how this goes, man. We'll see how this goes. I'm gonna get to Nate, and then we'll get to Mark if his internet holds up. All right, Nate, what's going on, man? What's popping?
Oh, not much, man. Sorry I lost you there. So I guess I'm having internet connections myself.
Yeah. So we're talking about where Courtney Lee fits in this whole construction of the Knicks, and with the guards and all that stuff.
I mean, honestly, we need to get rid of some of these players. I mean, we have way too many guards right now, in my opinion. I mean, this is the problem I was figuring was going to rear its ugly head at some point. I mean, there's only one ball and so many guards, and quite frankly, let's be honest, some of these guards can't even guard anything. So I mean, are they really helping our team, or are they more of a liability? Especially on the defensive end. As far as Courtney Lee, I like Courtney Lee. I think Courtney Lee has the ability to play some defense and shoot some threes. Mm-hmm.
There he goes. I don't know what's going on with Nate. All right. His internet went out before we can. Mark, what's popping, Mark? What's going on, man? What's up? What's
going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. Good game today. I'm not too upset. We played hard. We got back in the game. Courtney Lee missed the layup, but I'm not mad. I mean, I'm not mad tonight. It's just like they play hard. Like I said,
we got back in after losing the lead.
Yeah, well, you could have seen that coming in the third quarter, because we couldn't even make the shots just wasn't going in. We had good looks, but the shots just wasn't going down. We had a lot of in the paint shots that just didn't go down. But, it is what it is. But y'all talking about Courtney Lee? Yeah, he got to get his value up. The best thing to do, if you want to get rid of him, we have to let him play to get his value up, because there's teams like Philly still looking for a shooter, which would like Courtney Lee because he's defensive minded and can shoot. If he's playing amongst those big guys, he is an efficient shooter. So we have to build him back up. So, like I said, he's going to have to play if it's going to benefit the Knicks.
Right. I mean, so you're saying in the looking at this mix of players right now, really, when we're talking about Courtney Lee, he's not really going to be in the Knicks. We're just going to be showcasing him.
Yeah, basically, because at the end of the day, he's up this next year for 11. There's playoff teams that would want him and that could use him. and then we could at least get we could benefit from that because he is a vet. He does know how to play in playoff territory because he's been in the finals before. So yeah, we built him up. Make him look good. Okay, we got Courtney Lee. So what are y'all gonna give us for Courtney Lee? Look what they got for Cal Korver, Alex Burke, and a second round pick. Mm-hmm. So we have to build them up. So and I like you know what's so crazy? I came in like 15 minutes ago, and I told my friend, listen, I like that he's sitting on the bench because you know why? Knox had to do it, and it's when Knox came on the floor because I was giving Knox heat. He came on the floor, he started producing. Now Fizz is giving him the minutes. So if Frank wants to play, this is what y'all gotta understand. If he wants to play, he's gonna have to play and be productive on the floor because he can't have a player on the floor that isn't productive enough.
And I agree with you. The only thing I say is, well, I mean, Knox was on the floor though. That's how he became productive.
Yeah, but no, hold on. He wasn't playing. He didn't in that stretch where he hasn't even touched over 20 minutes a game. He was playing under 15.
But he was on the floor.
Yeah, but listen, when Frank was starting, when he tried to get Frank to start and roll, he had Frank play at least over 20 minutes a game, and he just wasn't producing. So I feel like, okay, sit on the bench for a few games, watch the game, and I'm going to put you. It's not like he's going to have him on the bench the whole time that he's there. But he's going to let him sit and watch.
Right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm cool with it. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I want him to be on the floor. I think you got to get reps. But there's also value in seeing the game from the bench. But I want to keep talking about
Courtney
Lee. Now Alonzo Trier, his time is coming. 45
he's gonna get signed. There's no doubt about it.
But in order for him to get signed, there's got to be a move. Something's got to happen. It's either gonna be Luke, right? It's either gonna be Luke.
Yeah. Who else is the player? Who else? Right. What else player we have?
It's either gonna be Luke or it's gonna be some other person that either gets waived. A trade has to happen. Something has to happen within the next 2 weeks, or Alonzo Trier goes back down to the G League or goes to the G League.
And you know what's so crazy? Listen, it's either Ron Baker gonna go or Luke. Those are the two viable ones, and neither of them is playing. So, who are you gonna choose? Trier over those two over Trier? No, Trier is way more productive. So those two are very expendable. They can go.
Of course they can.
We wouldn't miss a beat with those other two. I mean, they did good for what they was for us. But listen, this kid produced. This kid come out the ball. This kid embraced the Garden. He is what he is. He's a comparable NBA player. So those other two, without a doubt or a question, they just letting the 45 days go. And then sign him on the day where they need to sign him. He ain't going nowhere.
Well,
and you know what I was saying too?
We'll see.
Why they don't put Frank in the G League just to see what he got down there? Just to see what he got down there. That's what I would do. Get your confidence up. Go down there, get your confidence up. I want to see what you got something, and then bring it back up.
I just don't think that it's going to change what he does. I think that's the reason why I don't think it's going to change what he does.
He's gonna have to change. That's the thing. He's gonna have to change if he want to play.
I don't think it changes what he does. I think it's the way that he learned and was brought up to play. I don't think it changes what he does. When he played over in France, that was the equivalent. That's the equivalent of playing with guys in the G League.
Yeah, and you know what too? That's how he's brought up.
It's gonna take some time.
Oh yeah, it's
gonna take some time for that switch to turn. It just is. You know what I'm saying? Because
I would put him down there for a confidence boost. Because if you're an NBA player, right, and you go down there and you're an NBA player, when you send most NBA players down there, they go down there and cook because their confidence is like, I'm an NBA player. Y'all still here. So let me go down there and cook up so I can come right back and show the team what I got so I can get back on the floor. That's just all I want Frank for. Go down there for your confidence. That's all.
But the mindset of those players are different. They come from a different type of a game. And I just don't. I think that Frank will go down there and get 5 points and 6 assists, the same way that he does in the NBA. And you know, that's just what I think. And then, but this is also the thing, though. This is also the thing. I don't think going down to the G League will make you is going to force you to make open shots, right? Frank's had open shots that he missed. That 3-point line is the same 3-point line in the G League. You know what I mean? And you know, he's had wide open shots. I mean, you know, you've seen Frank have the ability to get to spots on the floor and be able to go to the basket when he chooses to, and make shots when he chooses to. It's the mentality of it. It's not the ability. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, if he has an open shot in the NBA that he misses, what's going to make him make it because he's in the G League?
Well, at the end of the day, like
I think he has the physical. I can understand when somebody doesn't have the physical ability to actually compete in the NBA. I don't think that's the case. I think it's all upstairs.
Yeah, that's why I will put him down there, because I want him to play. If he's going to be on the floor, right? This is what I always say. If he's going to be on the floor, right? Even if he doesn't score, he has to show some type of aggression. You can't just be flown out there. Like I said, I compare him to Marcus Smart. When you watch him, you just feel a defensive. If he's going to play defense, if Frank going to play defense, he has to bring an intensity so he can stay on the court. Because you know what? That's what makes Patrick Beverly plays and start for the Clippers, because he don't have to knock down a shot. But you know why he plays? Because he comes with this fervor. He comes with a sense of intensity.
And hold on for 1 minute, Mark. I just want to respond to something right quick. Now, Son said that that's like saying why practice. That's not like saying why practice. That's totally different than saying why practice, right? Because if you go down to the G League, you're playing with a totally different group of players. You know what I'm saying? Practice is something totally different than playing in the games. When you're practicing, you're going over little nuances of the game with teammates that you're going to be with, and you're developing chemistry with those teams. So going to the G League and practicing, that's two totally different things. There's two totally different things. You know what I'm saying? Two totally different things. Talking, when you say why practice, what's the difference between going to the G League and practicing? When you go to the G League, you're playing with totally different players. When you practice, you are working on strategies to win the next game with the players that you have on your team currently, right? That's what you are working on. You're going to say, I'm going to run a screen and roll with Mitchell Robinson. These is something that we're going to work on. Mitch, where do you like the ball? Mitch, where am I going to pass you the ball? Right? You do different things. That's the difference between practice when you're with your NBA team and a G League game. Right? It's two totally different things. You know what I mean? Two totally different things. Right? And in practice is where you can start to get your confidence back. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he couldn't get it back, and it's possibly he could get it back going to the G League. I just don't think playing on that lower level is the issue for him. I don't think it's playing with weaker competition that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I think the problem is. I don't think it's playing with weaker competition. And I don't think playing with weaker competition fixes your jump shot. I don't know if his jump shot needs to be fixed. It just needs to be more accurate. You know what I'm saying? I don't think playing with weaker competition is going to make it more accurate. If you don't shoot well from 23 feet in the NBA, playing on the NBA floor, you're not going to shoot well from 23 feet playing in the G League. You know what I'm saying? Now, I did see someone say less spotlight, more reps. I get that, but you're getting those reps. I mean, I get that. I don't think that that's the issue. I just don't think that that's the issue. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't think that's the issue. I think he has the physical capabilities. It's got to be. It's upstairs. It's upstairs. You know what I mean? because he could go down to the G League, right, and run pick and pop with Luke Cornett all day and average 10 assists with Luke Cornett all day. And then everyone will say, okay, now he's ready. And then he comes to the NBA and does the same exact thing he's been doing because we don't have a team. We don't have a player for him to run pick and pop with. You know what I'm saying? You guys, people just got to understand the construction of a team and how things work. If KP was on the team right now, he could look totally different on the floor because him and KP could have a certain type of a chemistry, right? Because KP needs someone to feed him the basketball. So you have to look at things like that. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? It just is. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to baby him by saying that you need to stay in the NBA, even if that means sitting on the bench. I'm not trying to baby him. I'm saying take your lumps with the toughest competition. I ain't trying to baby him, right? You know what babying someone is? I've seen people do this all the time. They take their child off of the best team and put them where they can shine. Right? Instead of just say, take your lumps and make it hit. Sometimes you do that for development if the player really needs development. Sometimes, you gotta look at the temperature of that player. Sometimes the player, you do take him down to someplace else, right? Because they don't have the physical capabilities. A person that has the physical capabilities, you say, no, you stay here and take your lumps. That's what I'm saying about Frank. Keep him there. Let him take his lumps. That's not babying him. Like someone said, you said babysit him. What do you mean babysit him? I mean, I don't know what you're saying about babysitting him. But Timmy is baby, probably. So far. Okay. Isaiah, I'm coming to you. I know you did your research. You got your stats ready. I'm gonna come back to whoever said something about. I'm gonna go look and see exactly what they said, and I'll come back to them. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Sim, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Viv, are you ready?
Oh, hold on.
Mark, you ready?
Hold on, one second, Isaiah. Okay, point 5 said I'm trying to babysit him. Now I don't want to babysit him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, let him earn his lumps, however he does it. I think he should see the floor so that he can work through it. But if that's what Fizz chose, that's what Fizz chose. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Isaiah.
So, Sim.
Yes, sir.
Let's play. Can I play a game with you real quick?
All right.
I want you to guess this player.
All right, I'm going to guess it.
Okay. First 4 seasons in the league, 3.3 points. Next season, 9.1 points. Next season, 7.9 points. The fourth season, 8.6 points. Can you guess the player's name?
Jimmy Butler.
Dig and nope. It is 2-time MVP Steve Nash.
Okay. Steve Nash. Yep. Steve Nash. Okay.
Hold on one second. I got somebody else for you, Sim.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go, how many seasons? Let's take a look. Ooh, this is going to be great. First 6 seasons, 5.6 points,
okay.
9.6 points, 7.6 points, 7.6 points, 7.6 points, 9.1 points.
Who is it?
That is Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry. Okay.
Okay, let's get somebody else for you.
Mm-hmm.
His first season coming into the league averaged 8.2 points. Can you guess the player? And he was 20 years old, like Frank Ntilikina.
8.2 points. I don't know who. Kobe?
One-time MVP Dirk Nowitzki.
All right.
Giannis Antetokounmpo averaged 8.6 points his first year.
Yeah.
Let's look at a couple.
I mean, we get it. We get what you're saying.
Okay, so let me say this to people. If Steve Nash, and mind you, Steve Nash was 22 years old, if he didn't average double-digit points up until his 25th, he didn't start averaging double-digit points until he was 26 years old. This is the two-time MVP, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This is Frank's second year. Can we give him some time? So also, I did a little bit more research on a few other players. Let's take a look. We got Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler only averaged 7.9 points, 11 points.
We know we're getting. I get it. You know, we've talked about it a lot and all that. I know.
And then also, so I understand some people have arguments about, if Frank doesn't play, we should be winning a couple games because Frank's not playing and stuff like that. So I got a couple of people who was on teams. Kyrie Irving, first 4 years in the league, his win total was 9, 19, 21, 24, 33. Stephen Curry, first couple of years, 29, 26, 36, 23, with 4 other players. I mean, you had a couple of these teams where people are just keep talking about, we need to trade Frank. It's about patience. I just said a 2-time MVP of the league didn't average double-digit points until he was 26. We have it's ridiculous about Frank with the patience and the points right now because it takes time. Like you literally just said it. People don't understand. I don't think people understand what you're getting at. Most American players play AAU. They play a certain style where it's, I'm the best on the team, everybody else are scrubs, and I'm going to shine. Frank played in a control system in Europe, which everybody knows is a pass-first kind of league where it's not about individual success. It's not about individual success in the league. It's about playing team basketball and having winning basketball. Yeah. We have a player that's truly unselfish, that wants to get better. I want people to understand this and get this around their head. Let's just say hypothetically everything goes right for the Knicks. KP comes back good. Knox becomes a true second or third star, and we get KD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you, but don't you need an unselfish player that doesn't need the ball in his hand all the time to run that team? You don't need a dominant ball score first point guard.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make a lot more sense?
And listen, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. As a matter of fact, the Dallas Mavericks.
Sim, I do understand what people are coming on from. I do understand Frank does have to be more aggressive and score. I'm not. Everybody knows I'm a Frank fan. Everybody knows you a Frank fan. And I think we can both agree he does need to score more. But when it comes to unselfishness, we need that on the team. Why is it so hard to fathom that Frank can be our Draymond Green? Frank can be our DeAndre Jordan in a sense of a way, where these are unselfish players that do all the little things. He could be our Marcus Smart. I don't understand why Knicks fans can't have that. Take away the eighth pick.
Well,
Frank is 20 years old and can guard the pick and roll as number one in the pick and roll.
Right. I think that's really the big hang up, right? He was the eighth pick. If Frank had been drafted in the second round, right? Then, or even if he was low, you know, a low first round draft pick, no one would really complain. People would say play him more. I can guarantee it. They would say play him more. Also, let's look at and after this, I mean.
Can I say one more thing, Sam?
A lot of good points. And also, you know, Steve Nash was traded. The Dallas Mavericks traded Steve Nash or didn't sign him or whatever. And he went to Phoenix. Remember? Right? Because he did not produce what they thought he's supposed to produce. He went to Phoenix, and then you see what happened with Phoenix when you get into the right coach, the right system, and all those type of things. But I don't want to keep, you know, every time I try to move on, we keep dragging back into Frank.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
You know, I had to drag back in. Go ahead.
So everybody, also too, these are for the people that complain about, you know, that believe that we should stack up offensive talent and that we don't need defense. Can I tell you I went back into the 2008 Lakers. Can I tell you the defensive rating of each team, or can I tell you the average?
Mm-hmm.
There was only one team, and that was like the 2017 Golden State Warriors, where they didn't finish in the top 10 of defensive rating. And guess what they were? They were 11th. So every team that's won the NBA title has had a defensive rating of in the top 10. So when people complain about you don't need defense, yeah. The last 10 teams just had a defensive rating inside the top 10.
Oh, yeah. And you got to have defensive players on the floor in order to get those defensive ratings.
Exactly. So
yeah,
I win.
Yeah, so.
Y'all suck. My point's great. I did my homework. Screw. Not I'm playing, but I did my homework. Viv, thank you, Dad.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on with Frank, though, man. Because we can't do nothing about it until Fizz puts him back in the game. You know what I mean? I'll keep calling for it. I want him to be there. You know what I mean? But we can't do nothing about it until then. I want to take a look at the keys. You know, we had a couple of keys to the game, you know, talking about the game tonight versus the Wizards. We had a couple of keys to the games that some of them we just didn't accomplish. Right? We needed to defend the guards tonight. We talked about that. If you looked at the pregame, you've seen it. And of course, there are two main players, Bradley Beal, John Wall, talking about the Washington Wizards. John Wall was actually shot 35% tonight, but he dropped 15 dimes. Bradley Beal, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I don't know. I don't think we did, you know, what we could do defending the guards. I'm giving that a thumbs down. The rebounding battle. We clearly won the rebounding battle, right? We won the rebounding battle 55, I believe it was. I think we won it 55 to 38. 55 to 38. We won the rebounding battle. So we got that done. But you know why there were so many rebounds? For us to grab up, right? Because we had 19 offensive rebounds. Why did we have 19 offensive rebounds? Because we played inefficient basketball once again. Shot 41.1% from the field. So sometimes you don't want to get so many offensive rebounds, right? You want to make the shots. So did we continue efficient play? No, we did not. Did not continue efficient play. All right, shot 41.1% from the field. Did we keep him out the paint? No. We let him eat inside the paint. I'm not exactly sure how many points we gave up inside the paint. Something I can look up and let you know in a little bit. But we let him eat inside the paint and then execute down the stretch. It's a little bit funny. Did we execute down the stretch? We did execute in the fourth quarter. Right? We won the fourth quarter, 27-24. It was the third quarter that really killed us. So, yeah, we did execute down the stretch. But you know what? If you lose 3 of your 5 keys to the game, you're probably going to lose the game. And that is exactly what we did. We lost the game tonight. All right? Because we were not able to take advantage of those keys of the game and actually... And otherwise, you're right. We did miss key foul shots in the fourth quarter. We did. We missed key shots in the fourth quarter. So, you know, you could actually give that, you know, I'm going to agree with you. We could actually give that a good and a bad, right? Because down the stretch, when you talk about down the stretch, you're right. It's not just the fourth quarter. All right. So when you talk about down the stretch, you're talking about that, you know, last 3 to 5 minutes where we didn't really execute down the stretch those last 3 to 5 minutes because we missed some free throws. Well, you know, the last few minutes we tried to make that run. So you can actually give a thumbs up and a thumbs down. And maybe we'll just do this because I think I agree with you. So maybe we'll just give them a no. We'll give them one of those down the stretch. All right, we're going to give them one of those. We'll give them a no. Still, either way, you know what I'm saying? You lost most of. You got one that's kind of even, executing down the stretch, and then you only won one of your keys you wanted. That's the rebounding battle, and that's only because you didn't play efficiently. So yeah, you know that's that right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna get back to the video chat. I want to know who was your Knicks player of the game tonight. You know, we didn't play awful. We didn't play awful, but we didn't do enough to get the victory. You know what I'm saying? But I want to know who was your player of the game tonight. All right, so I'm coming to your video chat. I want to know who your player of the game was, and then, I'll talk about who my player of the game was. All right, and you all in the video chat, I like to see who your player of the game was. I see Baker, I see Frank. I guess they were good cheerleaders, and whatever they did to cheer on the team, they did it well enough, I guess. All right, so let me come to the video chat. And I want to know from you guys, who was your player of the game tonight? So we still got a surprise coming from Mark because he didn't tell us his player of the game when he first jumped in. Right? So we still can find out. Doesn't matter. He would have changed it anyway. All right. Guillermo, I'm coming to you, man.
My player of the game, man?
Knicks player. Yeah, player of the game tonight for the Knicks. Who was it?
I thought Dotson had a good game, but my player of the game has to be Moutier, man. Moutier was aggressive, especially at the end. He really pushed the envelope. We were down by 10, and honest to God, if it wasn't for him kind of pushing the tempo whenever we got a defensive rebound, we don't get close in this game, man. The kid had 16 points. I don't know what his plus minus was, but I'm pretty sure it's probably positive because he had a good game, so. Yeah, he's really developing nicely under Fizdale's tutelage. So.
Yes, he was a +4 tonight. Moutier is a +4.
+4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dotson was like a -2 or 1 or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's like Dotson's like a -3 tonight.
Right.
But a lot of that always has to do who you're playing with on the floor when you talk about positive and negative. You know what I mean? Right. It just has to do, who you're on the floor with, I think sometimes. Yeah.
But I thought Moutier, man, he put the envelope. There's 2 games in a row where I seen actually 3, I guess, because take into account the Grizzly games, this guy.
Lost you, my man. Lost you. All right, let's get around. Let's see who. Viv. Oh, you there? You there, Guillermo?
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah, kind of lost you for a second. What were you saying now?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I was just saying he played with some confidence, and I loved it, man. He pushed the envelope, and I think it's important for this team, especially with all these young players. So, he gets my player of the game.
All right, bet. All right, Viv, I'm coming to you, Viv.
Wait, who's the guy who joined?
Who's my player of the game?
Yeah.
I had Damian Dotson. He just he came out of the game. He was very efficient and he played well on both sides of the floor. Mm-hmm. And I think ignore the plus minus numbers or whatever, but I think he was pretty consistent in his minutes.
Yeah. I like what Damian Dotson is doing. And 2, I see someone asked me, told me to free Esco. Esco is free to call in or do whatever he, come in anytime he wants. He just hasn't. Yeah. He's free. He's, he can do. He can call in if he wants to. Yeah. Isaiah, who is your player of the game tonight, man?
Steve Nash.
Come on, man.
No, it's whole team Dot, man. Because ever since Dot came back from whatever exile he was in, he's just been on a tear, and it's been the whole team Dot, man. I love Dot.
Okay. All right. And Mark?
My player of the game
he's a
goes
loser.
to Dotson, man, because, listen, the more reps he get, that's the type of player that I was hoping him to be. Knockdown shooter, cut, drive, get a couple of rebounds, attack the defense. Mm-hmm. He's efficient, man. He just gets on. And I don't believe that plus minus bull crap, because it all depends on who you play with and all that other stuff. So if you're on the floor with a non-defensive player, your rating can go down because of that. He plays great every time he's on the floor. I never question his play when he's on the floor, because he takes great shots. He don't force things at all. He takes shots when he knows he could take it, when it's good for him.
Yeah. And he's a beast on the boards, man.
And that's why I didn't want to give him up. Everybody's talking about trade him. No. He's a good player. He's going to become like a specialist type of player.
And to think, in summer league, everybody was kind of down on him a little bit, right?
Tony Crow.
People are like, yo, Damian Dotson, he's not doing this. He didn't develop he hasn't learned anything, blah blah blah, and now Damian Dotson is like I think Wormo said it. He might be our most consistent player so far this season.
Because he's looking for a job, bro.
Yeah, man. And now let me ask you this, and I'll get around to everybody. Mark be mad. Mark, I don't know what you be mad about. I'm like,
bro, I'm not mad.
Look, I know. But I'm like, let me ask you this. You're like, go ahead. I'm like, dang, Mark. I mean,
I'm getting excited, bro. I'm not mad. I'm happy as ever, bro.
Damian Dotson is like what, 24 years old, right?
Yeah.
So where's his ceiling? Do you think?
His ceiling.
He's close to what he's gonna be as a player.
His ceiling, he's gonna be a specialist, so he's gonna be good at shooting threes. Like when we get this offense right, when we get KP right, when he really gets open shots, he's going to be that guy who's gonna hit them corner threes and be consistent with it. You're always gonna need one of those players because he's gonna be a threat. Because guess what? He could put it on the floor. So his ceiling ain't like he's gonna be a valuable role player. Like if Tim shot like this efficiently. This is what
he'd be a superstar. He'd be a star. He'd be a
valuable role player.
Who?
Dotson. If he continues like this, his ceiling is a valuable role player. If he continues like this as an elite shooter, he's gonna be a valuable role player in the league. Yeah, because teams are calling for him now.
Yeah, if Timmy shot like this, he'd be an all-star.
Not even no, I don't think also. He just will be a very valuable player. I mean, that's what he would be.
Well,
he would never be an all-star.
If Timmy had the shooting percentage this season, if Timmy had the shooting percentage of Damian Dotson, he'd be averaging 28.
No, of course. And you don't think too. I said what's so funny is I like when we winning games because I like it for like Kevin Knox and for them. Because I want to be in the lottery, but then again, we're on a time stamp now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's what people not understanding.
Exactly. You gotta have some players around them.
Because we're gonna have to cater. We can't cater to role players. We gotta cater to the big star that's gonna attract the attention. And we can't make KP 4 years look like to waste because if he don't have players, he's not gonna look good. I don't care how great you are, because look at Anthony Davis. He's great as hell. But look at them. They struggle, man. You don't want to waste that type of talent.
Yeah. So your guys, Damian Dotson, and I agree with you, man. That's my player of the game as well. Damian Dotson is my player of the game.
And what I'm so afraid of is why I just want to see what Frank would do. Even if he don't do it, I just want to see it. And let him come back because Damian Dotson, if he continues like this, he's going to eat up Frank minutes because, again, Frank don't command the ball. Frank don't run, not saying he don't run the offense, but he don't command it like a point guard. So a coach is not going to have a point guard on the floor that's not commanding the offense and commanding people what to do. So if Damian Dotson keep playing like this, Frank could lose his minutes as much as he's good on defense. But remember, Dotson could do both. He can shoot and play defense. So Frank has to know that I'm playing for a job too because Dotson is hungry, man. And every time he gets his spot, he haven't missed a beat because guess what? He sat and he came in and he hasn't missed a beat this season.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how that. I think that I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's going to depend on. It's going to depend on what happens with Trey Burke. In my opinion, it's going to depend on what happens with Trey Burke and how Trier comes along. How Fizdale feels it looks with Trier playing that point guard spot. Playing some minutes at that point guard spot.
To me, I think you should just put him at. I think you should put him at shooting guard. Honestly.
Yeah, but he's
not a point guard whatsoever. He just don't have it.
But with Frank not getting minutes, right now he's using them at that point guard spot so that he can. I guess just so he can look and see exactly what this what it's all about. See what it is.
And he's forced to because even though Trey might be ISO, but he puts pressure on the defense at times because he would drive and get the foul. That's the thing. That's one thing with him. When he goes in for contact, he looks for it. So it's a plus at the same time because it's either he go ISO or he's going to get a foul. So either way, it could end up as a good situation with him. That's why I feel like we should play him like how Clippers played Lou Williams. Let him come off and go bonkers when his time calls.
Yeah, so just give me a name. Give me a name. I mean, I know you said what kind of player you think he's gonna be, Dotson. Just give me a name. Who do you compare him to as far as his ceiling in the NBA?
All right, I'm gonna give you a player. He could be like LeVert. Perfect, LeVert. He could be like Karis LeVert because the only thing Karis LeVert is doing well right now. Because the offense that they play, it forces him to pass. So he's a little bit of a better passer than Dotson, but LeVert, because I don't think LeVert is going to be any bigger. He's just solid. They just solid players. But LeVert could shoot, drive, rebound, start the break. Yeah, LeVert.
Okay. In the chat, I'm looking at the in the chat. It's me says a poor man's Clay. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think. Who do you think Damian Dotson? What's his ceiling in the NBA as far as compare his ceiling for me to someone in the NBA? It's me said a poor man's Klay Thompson. He said a poor man's Klay Thompson. Guillermo, what do you think? Who do you think Dotson? What is Dotson's ceiling as a player, and who would you compare his ceiling to?
Dotson I think is a really good system player. I love his game. I love his tenacity. No, it's not LeVert because LeVert's a better driver than Dotson. I don't think he can shoot as well as Dotson. That's a bad example to say LeVert.
So who would you say his ceiling?
His ceiling?
Yeah.
Because you give me a list of I won't say super subs, but really proficient shooters who come around picks and screens. I'll say this. I'll say Dotson could be a very, 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 very poor man's but at his peak, this person's peak, a poor version of that, Rip Hamilton. Rip Hamilton, when he's with Washington, they try to make him something that he's not, an on-ball two-guard, which he is not. But coming off the bench, and I'm not saying Dotson's going to be a great start or whatever, but when I watch his game, he gets on fire when he comes around screens, when he gets open. This is not a guy who just sits there, dribble, and shoots. He has to get around screens. He's a movement guy. And Rip Hamilton, when they had that system going in 2004 with the Pistons, same thing. Even though his was more mid-range, Dotson's more three-point range. But I think that he could be a very poor man's version of a peak Rip Hamilton.
A peak Rip Hamilton. Okay. All right. Hey, you know what? I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of people miss and gloss over.
My bad, Mark. I didn't mean to come at you. I thought you meant
Yeah. I think what a lot of people sometimes gloss over is when you're talking about players and you're talking about putting together a championship team, right? Because you mentioned Rip Hamilton at his peak, right? You don't always have to have a big group of all-star players, right? 4 or 5, 3, 4 all-star players. But what you do need is to have players when they're at their peak, they are all-star caliber. And if you get a bunch of those guys that when they finally reach their peak, they can play at an all-star caliber level, then you can, but a good 3, 4, 5 years, you can have a really good team, right? And that's what teams like the Pistons did back in the day, right? None of those guys are going to be surefire Hall of Famers and all-time players. But you had Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace. You had them guys where their peaks all matched up together. And so at their peak, right, their peaks came together. And at their peaks, the Pistons had like 4 all-stars, right? And because they got them all at their peak. And some of them guys was only on the all-star team for 1 or 2 years. But that's all if it's easier said than done. But you get those guys that, maybe it's only going to be an all-star team 1, 2, maybe 3 years. But if you can find a way to get them all together when they're at their peak, then you can, be a championship level team for a couple of years. Teams like the Warriors get lucky where maybe you're going to have bona fide you got 3, 4, 5 bona fide Hall of Famers, or 3 or 4 bona fide Hall of Famers on the team. They find a way to get them together. But if you can get some players that their peaks match up together, because you get a lot of players when they're at their peak, they're all-star caliber. Sometimes they're only at their peak for 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
It's a tough task, but that's another way that you can go about it besides always just trying to go get the super duper stars. Get players and try to match their peaks up together and see what you get out of them then. But, Damian Dotson is definitely one who is going to be, I think he's going to be a very good role player for a while. Do you ever see him as a starter in this league?
Dotson, yeah. He was playing well those few games they were playing him and Frank. And I think that Fizz just got scared of the system. And I thought he's a good starter, but he's a system starter, man. Like Fizdale wants a lot of guys who could play the street ball, ISO, and that's not his game.
Yeah,
that is not his game. And I think that we had a system where it was predicated on movement. Okay. Look, you put Dotson with the Sixers. He's a borderline all-star. A team that moves around and needs shooters, and he can play defense. Yeah, he'd be a borderline all-star. But it's all about system. Fizdale has to install that system for him to be really good.
Okay.
He definitely could be a starter.
Okay, a starter on a good team. I mean,
Oh yeah, Sim. Can you tell me this guy? Look, you don't. When they don't play him, he comes in, he plays well, he scores and defends.
Yeah.
They start him, he plays well, and he defends. Like I just don't understand why Fizz took him out. And honestly, the guy who's holding him back, and I said this at the beginning of the season, was Hardaway. Him and Hardaway essentially the same position, but Hardaway wants to be more on ball, take up a lot of shots. If you could take out some of the shots that Hardaway shoots, making Hardaway say a more efficient, ideal sense, and you gave those shots to Dotson, Dotson would be averaging easily 15, 17 points a game. Right. Easily. No doubt about it. He'd be a borderline all-star. And his defense? Come on.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's see what he does. You know what? I'm excited about Damian Dotson, man. That was a gem that Phil Jackson left us.
Yep.
That's a gem that Phil Jackson left. Everyone always wants to, talk about how Phil Jackson drafted Frank for the triangle. He also drafted Damian Dotson for the triangle. You know what I'm saying? He drafted Damian Dotson for the triangle too. That's a gem that Phil Jackson left us, and pretty nice one. Pretty nice one. Let me see what Viv has to say on the matter. Viv, what do you think, man? Damian Dotson's ceiling.
Yeah, I was actually trying to go back and forth with Mark a little bit, trying to find that right player. The one guy I was thinking of, and I have to look into other players, but the first guy that I thought of in my head was Danny Green. Maybe not like he hasn't reached like Danny Green's like full level in terms of defense or what have you, or maybe a 3-point shot, but somewhere his game kind of reminds me of Danny Green a little bit in that sense, except Dot goes into the paint a little bit more, but their games are very similar on that front to me. But I think his ceiling is going to be someone who I think it's going to be like a very reliable bench player on great teams. For starting, I don't think you're going to have him start any teams because I don't think he has the explosiveness to take on a scoring load as a 2-guard. And I think the 2-guard is going to ultimately be his main position. But I think he can be a very solid 8th man. Probably 8th man is probably like the best thing. And I think a solid 8th man is going to get paid a decent amount of money in the NBA. And I think a guy like Dot's going to have a long career because of that.
Okay. All right. Let me see what Isaiah got to say about it.
Sim, I actually kind of agree with Viv. I can see at the height of it as being Danny Green. But I could also see him being a very, 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 very at his peak a poor man Bradley Beal. A very poor Bradley Beal. But I like a Danny Green more than a Bradley Beal with Dot.
Yeah, and you know, looking in the chat, I seen some people say Danny Green. Some people said a poor man's Courtney Lee, or even better than Courtney Lee. He could, you know, he might end up being better.
It's a good one. I think he rebounds better than Courtney Lee ever did.
Yeah, I think he does rebound better than Courtney Lee.
He's much more of an athlete than Courtney Lee.
Hey, he rebounds better than KP.
They both below the rim players, but they're. I think Dot's built a little stronger than Lee's. I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Diehard Knicks fan said he could see an Eric Gordon with better defense.
No, not Gordon.
I don't know. Eric Gordon was a beast.
Two different players.
Anthony Williams said.
Eric Gordon.
Rockets.
Anthony Williams said Dotson is equal to a Boston or Miami's poor man's Ray Allen.
No, he can't be Ray. No.
Gordon is a
He's
legit
got
player.
the same style.
Ray Allen was a superstar in this league.
He said a poor man's Ray Allen. He didn't say. He said a.
Oh hell no! We gotta stop there. We can't. They have two different games.
I can see a Bradley.
Poor man's Ray Allen.
No. Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley.
On the Celtics?
These people are drugs, man. I don't know.
Avery Bradley? Did Avery Bradley ever even play for the Celtics?
Stop this now.
Hey, what's wrong with Avery Bradley? He wasn't a superstar. He wasn't a star.
Yeah, but not Dotson, though.
Like
They're two different games,
like a point guard.
But everybody was a point guard. I thought he was a two guard. Avery Bradley. I thought he was a two guard.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm thinking. Wait a minute. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Avery. Wait a minute. Hold up.
Someone said in the chat Eric Gordon, I thought.
Oh, Avery Bradley's a two guard. Oh yeah, I'm thinking
Someone
of Avery Johnson.
Allen,
My bad. I was thinking about Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson. I was thinking you would talk about Avery Johnson. No, he's better. Offensively, he's way better than Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley really can't score that well. Dotson can score better than Avery Bradley.
Yeah, but I like Danny Green. I think his best selling is Danny Green.
Danny Green. I like Rip. I like Rip Hamilton. I think he can be that. That's why when someone said a poor man's Ray Allen, the Ray Allen that played for.
Stop it.
Hold up. Wait a minute. The Ray. See. That's why you talk about similar type of games. He's not saying that he's going to be Ray Allen. He's talking about someone who has a similar type of a game as Ray Allen.
Ray Allen's stroke. Come on, Ray Allen's stroke.
Damian Dotson shooting 40% from three now.
Nah, I don't know, Sim. Ray Allen's stroke was something crazy.
But he's talking about the style of play. He's not saying that's why he says a poor man's Ray Allen. A poor man's Ray Allen. Right? Like, you know how I buy Lucky Charms and, you know, you buy Lucky Tricks?
Whoa. First of all, my mama don't buy Lucky Tricks.
Oh, see? Your mom buys them. You get my point
I didn't
now.
say that out loud. I buy them.
You know what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. A poor man's Ray Allen. He's not saying Ray Allen. You know, talk about the style of play. You know, I mean, I get that same style of play. All right, let me get Nate. Hold up, Nate. All right, go ahead, Nate.
Hey, I'm back, man. I'll tell you, this internet hates me tonight, man. I don't know what it is. I'm usually really good.
I'm trying to look at players, so it's crazy.
I think he kind of reminds me of a poor man's Chris Middleton. Because they're not very athletic, but they're good shooters. And I think he's actually a better defender than Middleton is.
I don't know. I think the thing about Chris Middleton, I think Chris Middleton is a lot, you know, he's like a lot longer.
Yeah, no, he's taller than Dotson, but they're not very athletic people, and they both shoot a good percentage, and I think Dot's a better defender than Middleton is.
Okay. All right.
But I just see Middleton in him. I really do. I mean, Middleton didn't come on until like the last couple of years.
Yeah, see, like now me and son is playing. Middleton can kind of play big too. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, he can kind of play big, like Namin Son is saying. He could play big.
Right.
But,
I'm from Texas, and I saw Middleton play at A&M. So, and I've seen Dotson play at Houston, and I see a lot of similarities in their game. I'm not saying he's going to be Middleton like now.
Right.
He's a good shooter, is what he is, and he's a smart shooter too. He doesn't take like Tim Hardaway should take notes on how he shoots and when he shoots. Yeah. He doesn't just jack up threes. He takes his shots when he needs to take them.
He takes good shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no doubt. Give it up to Damian Dotson, man. Our player of the game for tonight, Damian Dotson. He's 24 years old. He's got a big future in the NBA, and I'm glad. I'm glad Phil Jackson dropped him on us.
Amen.
That's what's up. I am glad Phil Jackson dropped that kid on us. Because he's going to be a very good piece for us. Nate, since I got you on the line, why don't you, before your internet goes out on us, why don't you tell us about the Knicks Boston Thursday night?
Man,
well, before you do that, let me do this. I just want everyone to remember the Knicks in Boston. After the Knicks and Boston game, 11 p.m., December the 6th, Alonzo Trier's mother is going to be on this show. She's going to tell her story. And it's an interesting story that you're going to want to hear. It's about her and Zoe. And, of course, we'll be raising money that night. We'll be making donations. Okay? Those donations will be... And excuse me, let me take this timer off of here. The donations will go directly to the WIN program. All right, WIN stands for Women in Need, and is the largest provider of shelter and supportive housing for homeless families in New York City. All right, so we're doing this to help support Alonzo Trier's Built for This campaign and his shirts. And by the way, December 5th is the last day that you can purchase one of Alonzo Trier's Built for This shirts, right? And you can purchase them at represent.com. I'm putting the link in the video chat right now. All right. The shirts, when you purchase one of these shirts, proceeds go to support the Women in Need program. All right. So represent.com/Alonzo. All right. Make sure you go to it, purchase one of the shirts. All right. And help support Women in Need. All right. So there it is. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. Nate, why don't you tell us about this Knicks versus Boston game, and then give us your last words.
I mean, Boston is playing better. It's in Boston Garden, right? Mm-hmm. Boston. Okay. I mean, last time we went in there, we did really well, and we put a beat down on them. I think they're going to be out for revenge this time around. With this team, it's just about maturation and getting better, and I think this team sees a lot of ups and downs, and, the defense has got to show up. I mean, if the defense plays like it did tonight, I mean, we're going to get run out of the building. Mm-hmm. I hope we see Frank. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm worried that he's falling out of favor with the Knicks and the coach. And, I mean, Courtney Lee even got more burn over him. So, I feel bad for the guy. I mean, he's not a bad player. He gets a bad rap because he's not an aggressive shooter, but he does everything else right. And it's sad that we criticize him so much. I mean, because he actually is a pretty good player. He just needs time and the right coaching and the right players around him. So
yeah, I think he'll get back in there, Nate.
I hope so. I really do. I don't want to see him go to another team because we've seen other players go to other teams and do well, and it's sad.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets in against Boston, but I think he'll be back. He'll get back into the lineup, and we'll see if that helps him to, pick up his game a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Moutier's on a short leash himself. He didn't play very well tonight. Turned over the ball, did not finish it at the rim very well. Just didn't look kind of lost out there. So, I mean, I think he's gonna get to a point to where he's gonna be the old Moutier, and here we go again, like another revolving door. So, we'll see. I just hope the Knicks show up.
Moutier has 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He did have 4 turnovers, but he's playing confident.
Yeah.
Playing
but he needs to play better defense, and he needs to finish at the rim. He missed about 3 or 4 layups in the first half, where he should have easily made those.
Yeah.
Or take better shots. But
right.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, Nate. All right. I'll see you Thursday night.
Yeah, man. Hey, do you think that she might get Trier on the show maybe at some point? That'd be cool.
I mean, definitely not Thursday night because she's.
Well, no, not Thursday night. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah,
I mean, for what we're doing, maybe she might be gracious to let us talk to her son.
You never know.
Never know.
You never know.
That'd be awesome.
But she's on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, she's not in New York with him. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, she's on that.
Well, cool, man. Well, I look forward to hearing her, hearing what she has to say. So.
All right.
Have a good night. Peace.
All right, let's see. Mark, I'm coming to you, bro. What do you think about this Knicks Boston, Mark? Mark, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Knicks Boston. What do you think?
All right, well, Boston Celtics seem to find themselves after putting Marcus Smart in the starter lineup with Kyrie. So, and Gordon Hayward, he's finding himself. I think it's gonna be, like I said, we play up for these games. So I'm gonna stop. I'm not saying talking negative about the Knicks, but we're gonna play hard. We play hard against these teams. That's what Fizz is instilling in them when you're watching these past 2 games. We might, lose a quarter, but we ain't playing like no punks. That's what I haven't been complaining. We haven't been playing like no punks. So we ain't gonna play like no punks. We're gonna play hard. We could get the dub. But Celtics is on a hot streak, so I'm gonna give it to the Celtics. But we play hard. What is it, tomorrow?
Thursday.
We play hard because we come out. We come out when teams like that.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna front. That's one thing I like about the Knicks. They coming out hard.
Yeah.
Even when they get punched in the face sometimes.
Yeah, the Celtics won the last 3
They only get punched in the face because they can't score sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. Celtics won their last 3 games. So we'll see what's up with that. You got some last words for me?
All right, my last words is, everybody in the chat say I'm off the Frank bandwagon. No, I'm not off the Frank bandwagon because I wanted him for his defense prowess. But for him to get a job on his team, he's going to have to do more. And I understand that he's coming from a place. But sometimes in life, bro, you have to change your style to fit in, bro. And, yeah, he's going to learn with time. But sometimes I just want to see a little more of my man so he can stay on the team and be great. That's all. But sometimes you have to talk about the net. I come down on Knox, and look at him. He's playing. He's playing for his minutes.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with him. I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the style of play that he plays. That's my type of game.
Yeah,
the type of game that Fizz wants to play, I don't know if he's suited for it, and I don't know if he's ever going to be suited for it. That's my honest opinion right now. I am all for the style of play that he plays from that guard position. I would like to see him be able to get to the basket or make up his mind to get to the basket.
That's my number one main thing with him. Because sometimes when they're not calling plays, he has to be a point guard and say, okay, let me take it and cause reaction on the defense so I can pass it out. Right. If he ain't gonna do that, he can't stay on the floor. Sim, it's just fact because every point guard has to do that in this NBA league. Even from the Ish Smith, TJ McCombs, they pressure that defense, boy. And he can't just be on the top just looking for a pass every time because if you have NBA defense set on us, it's lights out.
I think that.
But I like the way he plays. I like the way he plays, but he has to.
I just think I like his style. I think that that's what you get from a guard, from a point guard, a lead guard, a leader. He's maybe not that leader yet, but he can be.
He's
I
gonna
don't
learn.
think with what Fizz does or says he wants to do, I don't know if he fits it, and that's what makes me afraid about him in the future here. I'm just being honest with you. I just don't know he fits that style, and I don't know.
Okay, because listen,
style.
perfect scenario. Supposedly he played for the Celtics. He would have to is an essential of their offense and the way they play. You have to pressure the defense with the guard.
But you know what? They have more of a system in place, and he would probably excel there a little bit better because he would have right now with what we do on offense. Right? There are no really defined roles. This is what we need you to do at this point of this offense. And Frank doesn't know how to play that way yet.
Yeah, I understand.
You know
I just want him to go to the rack more than 5 times a game. He doesn't do it, bro.
You know, and like like a team like Boston, they have defined roles with guys but
at the end of the day, all their guards can go to the rim or attempt to go into the rim to create offense for the others, and he doesn't neither.
But what I'm saying is, when you have defined roles and a defined system and style of play, you know, someone like Alonzo Trier, it doesn't matter. He's gonna do what he does, right? Someone like Frank, coming from the way he comes from, I think he needs to say, okay, this is my opportunity to know, and maybe he doesn't even realize when his opportunities are there, right? When he's in a certain type of a system, I think now he can say, okay, all right, I get it. This is when I can go. This is when I don't go. So I think that's what it is with him. He's not there yet where he can understand and recognize it, and then just have the mentality to attack it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because even like if you watch the first quarter, they was running a lot of stuff for the players in the first quarter when we were scoring.
And just let me stop you right here for 1 second. Motivated by success. I want you to understand something. And Mark, I'm pretty sure, understands exactly what I'm saying. I'm not blaming a system. I'm saying Frank's mentality fits well within a system that is not as freelance as the Knicks. The Knicks play a freelance system.
Yeah, he need more. Right? He need more told what to do.
He needs more structure, right? So if you're gonna chime in with the correct information, my man. All right, I'm not blaming any kind of a system. I'm saying what Frank's mentality is. You know what I mean? So, but
his mentality's not there yet. But you know, I still want him on this team because what I see from him defensively and what he can be, that's just one of my reasons why I love him.
Yeah. So you know, we'll see if he ever can fit into what Fizdale's style of play is, and you know, you two be the same, aka no system. And you know what? You might be right, no system at all. I mean, I agree with you. I don't, you know, we'll see if, you know, something comes later on. But with this style of a play, Frank don't play that. That's the reason why I wanted Frank to go to play the Rucker, you know what I'm saying, or whatever over the summer. He didn't. You know why? Because Frank don't play that style of a game. You know what I'm saying? Frank don't play that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He don't play that. You know that's not the way that he plays. You know, so
part of me wish Porzingis was like in his second year because these 2 picks that we took, those are very vital. So Frank is a very vital piece. So we're looking for him to do, you know, different things because of Porzingis. And if we sign him to this 4-year deal, it speeds up their time. So if they don't produce in a time period, like I said, I give Frank next year and half of his fourth year, because every when you're judging a player, you look at either their third or their fourth years when they normally like you know, show what they if they can stay on the floor. And if he can't stay on the floor in his 4th year, then something got to change because even say if we get KD, Frank is going to have to be a valuable piece. If Frank was drafted later in the draft, we wouldn't care. It's just he's number 8. He's number 8, man.
But We'll see. And I'm gonna tell you what. I think if KP was here,
it would help him a lot. It would help him a lot because one thing he does, he gives it. He's the only point guard that we had that give it to Porzingis when he wants it in the post to set up the offense. He does that. His entry passes are very good. That is one thing about him. He has great entry passes. So when Porzingis comes back, it's gonna open our offense a little more and a little better because we don't have players that other teams fear. So defense are playing man to man.
That pick and pop with him out there, Frank and KP with the pick and pop with KP at the top of the key. I mean, it would change a lot of things. So let's see. We'll see how it goes. It's going to change a lot of things for a lot of players when KP comes back. You know what I mean? All right, Mark.
All right, Sam. Good night, man.
Thursday night, man. Peace.
Good night, y'all.
Oh, all right, Viv.
All right, I'm gonna keep it quick, Sim, because it's getting late now. So
yeah, man, it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's already on. So this game, it's in Boston or is it in New York?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
All right, I'll check it out real quick. Where it is. It's a Thursday night game, and let me see also one other thing. Is it on TNT or not? If it's on TNT, we're screwed.
It's on TNT.
Oh, we're done. Yeah, we're done. There's no chance on Thursday. Our record on TNT sucks. Okay, yeah, so we're in Boston, and the game's on TNT. Oh, that's a bad match.
Yeah, we're in Boston. Game's on TNT.
Oh, boy.
Big lights, bright lights. See how our guys respond. Bright lights.
Yeah, our record on TNT sucks, so I don't have any hopes.
Hey, maybe we can change that around. It's just our first time.
Actually, honestly, Tim, what it is that we always either start off rough or we start off really well, and then just like the wheels just fall off.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's up, man. I'm hoping my man Frank does play. I don't think he's gonna play. I think it's gonna be a 3 or 4 game hiatus before we see a reappearance. So we'll see.
Yeah, unless someone gets in foul trouble, but I doubt it.
Right. All right, man.
All right. I'll catch you Thursday.
All right, catch you Thursday. Isaiah, it's on you, my man. You the last one.
Real quick, Sam. It's just real quick. So when Porzingis, out of the two man units that logged at least 300 minutes together in the last year, Porzingis and Frank posted a team high positive net rating of plus 4.4, and then defensively, they allowed just 92.3 points per 100 point possession. So when Frank and KP on the floor, good things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and also too, man. Listen, if Frank don't play on Thursday, we don't gotta talk about him. We could if he doesn't play, we don't have to talk about him. It's like you said, it might be a 3 or 4 game hiatus for him, which I think happened to Dot. Dot was like 4 games. I think I'll say this, and I think a lot of people don't understand why we love Frank so much. I don't know about you, Sim, but I can say that I see what the Knicks' future can be with a Frank Ntilikina on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that when I look at Frank, I see a championship player. Like Frank would be on a championship team. People are going to disagree with me, but when you look at a formula, when you look at like the Warriors, you see certain players on the team like, wow, if it wasn't for Draymond Green, they wouldn't be winning championships. You can disagree with me or agree with me. I think Draymond Green is one of the most important pieces on that team. And like I said before, I think Frank can be a Draymond Green. I really do. I think he can be the one that plugs a lot of things. I seen Frank make big shots. I seen Frank make great passes. Frank, it's just, he gets open. He gets to his spots. He's not, listen, if Frank made the threes or the points he was missing, we wouldn't be having this discussion or nothing like that. But it's the NBA. He has to grow. He has to become a better player. And that's for a lot of our team. A lot of our teams is like that. I believe Fizz needs to put a system in where it's ball movement, spacing, and cutting. I think that would solve a lot of issues that you see right now. It would even help players like Zoe. because Zoe, I think, needs to play in the system as well. Because God forbid he plays ISO all his life, and he turns up to be like a Melo, where he literally needs the ball for 20 seconds to get in rhythm.
Yeah, I
mean, it's just.
I feel you. And well, he's playing point guard right now, so hopefully, he picks up some of those distribution skills. What's your take on the game Thursday night?
I kind of figured the Knicks is a weird team. The Knicks, they do play hard. It's a nationally televised game, and I don't think we're going to get embarrassed. I do think Boston's going to win because they were pretty pissed off last time because we beat them at home. But I do think the Knicks do play up the competition and we can win. So I think we win. I think we could get a win.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna listen to the podcast later in the shower. So.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you. Hey, stay on the appearing for a minute. All right.
I got you. All
right, so we can talk about Wednesday. All right.
Okay.
All right. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I tried hard. I really did. I tried hard to not go too much in on the Frank Ntilikina thing, but it was unavoidable. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to, continue to beat a dead horse. When he comes back, of course we're going to talk about it. But it is what it is, man. Frank is our dude, so we're going to talk about him. I didn't want to just keep on going in on the whole Frank thing. But Knicks, Boston, I don't know. It's hard to say. It really is hard to call the games with this team because you don't know who's going to show up. You know what I mean? You just don't know who's going to show up from night to night. It could be, they could come up and move the ball and play great, and then they could come out the next night and just look like the worst team in the league. It's hard to say. I think this one, I think they're finding a groove on how to continuously compete with these teams, although we did have a couple of bad ones, or at least one real bad one with Philadelphia. They're finding, I think they're getting a little bit of a groove and understanding how to continuously compete. So I think it'll be a competitive game, but I think Boston pulls it out because it's at the Garden, and they're on a winning streak right now. And they're on the quest to get back to where they think they belong, and that's the top of the top of the Eastern Conference. They know teams like the Knicks coming into town, they got to beat us. All right, they got to beat us. But I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you guys for joining me. All right, and I'm gonna just say it one last time. Please remember, after the Knicks and Celtics on TNT, Alonzo Trier's mother will be on the show to tell her story. Right, December 6th, 11 p.m. All proceeds, Super Chat proceeds, donations will support the WIN program, Women in Need, the largest provider of shelter and supportive housing for homeless families in NYC. We are supporting Alonzo Trier's Built for This campaign. So I ask you to help us out that night. We'll give you links to the website where if you can't help us out that night, you can donate to their website later on. All right. But we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show or joining the show. And I can't wait to talk to you guys Thursday night, man. Have a great week. Peace.